I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own. Welcome. I've got some of these little haft ornaments that I got on clearance from Hobby Lobby. You can get them in a bunch of different sizes if you want to get these and put them back for next year. Here are the approximate measurements. You can see there. We're going to use a pen or a marker, scissors. You'll need some stickers, preferably something dimensional like these Jolies. Here's the information on those. And then I got a bag. Look at this beautiful poinsettia bag. The colors are stunning together. This is the brand, and I got it at Ollie's for 99 cents. We'll use a hot glue gun and some E6000, and we're also going to use some of those glitter glue sticks that we never know what to do with, right? We're gonna start off by taking this bag apart, and we're gonna save the straps because we're gonna use these in the next projects we do. Yes, in the same video, so where you'll see me get to use these, okay? Okay, so I've got my domes, I've got my snow now because we're gonna use those, that one ornament will make two. And we're gonna choose what background we want. So I just lay mine on top of whatever section of the bag I wanna cut out. So wanna trace it out onto your bag, whatever section you like. And then you can save the back of your bag for another project. Okay, so we're gonna cut out past where the ink line is because we're going to have a little bit of area to glue things down. We don't want this to fit exactly on the inside because it'll fall through. We want that to sit on top. I'm going to choose the ornament in the center that's got a little more red to go on the ivory colored flower. I'm just looking at where I might want to call center. And you can see at the top where the ornament originally connects together and you put the hook through that there's a skipped spot. And that helps me line up my sticker. We're gonna flip this over just to make this easier to use, to hold still. I'm gonna add a little bit of snow to it because I don't wanna fill the whole thing up. I still wanna be able to see him. So just a couple of little, I guess, tablespoons. I'll use E6000 to go all the way around the edge. And I'm just sort of squeezing a bead and then popping it up and down like a line of stitches would be maybe, until I get all the way back around to the original spot. You can see here where the opening is, and so I can't see it on the back. I'll just put a little snip in it. You'll never see it once it's put together, but I'll be able to see it as I'm putting this down. So I'll line that up with the little eye up there where the hook goes, and then I'll just put my bag down. Now, this is a good quality bag, so it's pretty substantial. If you're using something other than a bag, if you're using wrapping paper or something like that, you're going to want to use a backing for this to hold it and give it support. So I'll go to the next little section and cut out a manageable piece. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Repetitive, right? We're going to cut around the outside of that circle so we have a little extra room. And this is the soldier that I am going to choose for this one, or the nutcracker. So I need a support for this half. I'm just going to put it on top of the jar. And we're going to use some different things in there for this one. These are star beads and they're on strings. I had two of these and I got them at the thrift store. You can add glitter and things like that if you want. And then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of that faux snow in there. And then I will go ahead and do the same process to glue the back on. So just, take your time. If you learned something new here today, please subscribe to the channel and join us. I will thank you forever, and in return, I'm going to give you all the creativity my little heart can dole out. Just a little weight on the back to hold those in place as they dry. I just want to have something there to keep it nice and flat. I think the idea and the combination of the particular coloring in the stickers and on that paper are so flattering, and I think that they are going to be something that I use and that just fascinates everybody in the family for years to come. They're just cute. I've seen these vintage ornaments done, maybe not with this particular style, but with a different type of a vintage style. All right, so I wanted to make this one a little bit taller, the gray one. So I am just adding some more of those foam sticker blocks to the back to help get him in place and hold him even further into the, he'll be closer to the inside and further away from the wall, if that makes sense. See the difference there? And then another little container. This is from the icing from a cinnamon roll top. I washed it out and I use it for stuff in the craft room. See, I didn't even have to pay anything extra. Look at these beautiful beads. They're like a crystal sort of look, and I thought that looks icy, so that would be pretty cool with that snow. Going around with our glue, line it up. Y'all are professionals now, aren't you? Professionals. You know exactly how to make these dome ornaments now. Doing anything, any color, They're just so cool. I'm going to give these time to dry, and I just went on with my day editing and all that. And then the next morning I came back and they were ready to go. Look at that when you shake it. That's so cute. It looks like he's standing in the snow. So we're going to grab those glitter glue sticks, whatever color is going to coordinate. And I'm going to use this as a seal between the outside edge of that ornament and the bag that is the backing of it. I'm using a different glue gun. This is a little cheap glue gun. For me, I don't use these glitter glues. I'm typically only using glue to put projects together, but not decoratively. So having an extra glue gun where I won't, it won't interfere and have glitter in the rest of my glue was kind of what I was going for on this project. So just a little extra something on the side if you can afford it, if you have it. So we're going to go all the way around. And sometimes with these glue sticks, I notice you'll have like a lot of glitter, be very saturated in one spot and then thin in another spot. So I just let the layers dry and then carefully go back over and layer it so that I get a solid color all the way around. This is decorative and it is also going to seal it to the back. If you don't want to use your glitter glue or you don't have any, just use clear glue. It's totally fine. Now, we're going to do the same thing with this one. And don't worry about the edge. I intentionally left that back bigger so that we would have an area to glue these pieces down. We're going to trim those up though, so don't be bothered by that. I just think that is just so elegant and pretty. So this is option number 1. And you can see how he looks. So that'd be the first one we did. I'm going to go back around with some smaller scissors and get that black line right there and get that as close as I can to the glue. So it looks like the glue is actually the edge and not the paper. If you are enjoying these crafts, would you please give me a thumbs up? It's going to help YouTube put my videos in front of more people and show you more when I have new projects that come out. So there are the 3 for you. These are some hooks that I got at the thrift store. They look like S's. They would probably be fairly easy to make if you wanted to do it on your own if you had some jewelry wire. You can hang these out of the tree either way. I like to use the curlier section on the top. So I'm going to pinch the small section down, twist it to the side so I can hang it off of a branch. And then another one. Okay, so there are the 3. You want to embellish it with bows or anything else, you can do that. I decided one bow right in the middle of this one that's pretty much red. These are some little banner pieces or tag pieces. You can use cards, whatever you have. These came from Temu. I've had these since last year. I'm going to use a plaid gift box, paintbrushes if you need them. Of course, I'm going to use my Titebond, and then a couple of different of these slick paints. Green, white, and red. And then I'm going to open my box up. Now, I have another project that I want to do with the sides of this box. So I am going to be trimming these down, and I'm going to show you a new tool that I got. This is not a sponsored video, y'all, but it's just so cool. You've seen me struggle before with utility knives and scissors trying to cut through things that are strong or like styrofoam and thick cardboard. Well, I decided to give this a try. And look how nicely and smoothly it cuts. All right, so we're going to save the sides. Here we go with that beautiful backing. This is very Ralph Lauren or traditional looking to me. Look how beautiful this plays off of that pattern. So pretty. I'm going to take these 3, and I think there were probably, I don't know if I had to guess, 12 in the package. I just picked these off to use for the project, to use as a trio. I'm going to use a little bit of this Titebond to go around. You could do school glue or whatever type of glue you like. Titebond is really thick and it sets quickly. It holds quickly, so I can continue along with doing my projects. You could probably also use a glue stick for this, but that's going to be up to you. Do your own experimenting. That's part of the lovely part of crafting, is that we get to try and do things on our own and make ourselves proud, right? We want to be proud of our crafts. I'm proud of you, definitely, for being here and for learning something new. And I appreciate you. All right, so I want to be sure that there's enough room on this space on this box for all of these ornaments. Well, not ornaments, these tags, so that each one of them is a framed piece and they are equally sized. If you want to grab a ruler and measure and do all that, you are so welcome to do it that way. But I'm not going to do it. If you've been here long enough, what do you know that I'm going to do? I'm going to eyeball it. That's what I'm going to do. So I don't want to get this wet and I don't want it to take forever to dry. So that's why I'm doing one track around with the glue and then pulling the glue inward. If you don't do that and you put it down, when you squish it onto the box, you're going to get spillage and seepage underneath the edge and nobody wants it. So I'm feathering it into the middle and then I'm again eyeballing it to make sure I have enough room between each one to have a nice edge and frame around them. Eyeballing it, I'm going to kind of scoot it slightly if I need to, press it in place, and then I'll use the squeegee to pull inward. This is thick, this is not paper, right? If you were using paper, you'd have to use a little bit of a different technique, but this is like a coated cardstock, so it is totally fine. You don't have to worry about wrinkling, okay? Now, I have enough room on here for all of them. I'm going to grab my little cutter here, and I am going to trim this down. You can use your scissors. You can use a rolling cutter. I could have even used the new cutter I just got to trim up and get these in the same size. You're going to have options with something like this. You could put these in frames and have 3 different frames with these on here. You could attach these to a wreath. Oh, you could do a lot of things with these. You could make homemade Christmas cards with these if you wanted to. And then if you wanted to do your taper at the top, where it's slanted cut, you could always do that. But I was totally fine with it being square for the project that we are going to be making. Look at the set together. Oh, they're looking so pretty. So to embellish these, I am going to grab my glasses, of course. Got to have those spectacles. And then I'm going to grab my puff paint here, and I'm just going to start working on these berries because there's holly up there on the top of each of these cards, embellishing the top. And I thought we would give this a little bit of extra oomph and some texture and add some of this paint to it. When you're using a paint like this, if you're doing dots, it's very easy. You just put the tip down and squeeze as you're raising it up and then let go. And then it will just make a little peak or a little rounded area on the top as it starts to dry. Look at the difference already in the card, how that pops out. You could use paint pen, markers, a fine tip brush with some acrylic paint. You know, if you have other ways that you can add some color, you can certainly do that on your own card. And just because you get a Christmas card that may be kind of flat or doesn't have any dimension or any glitter or any whatever to it, doesn't mean that you can't repurpose it. Cut it in half, take out what you want, and make it your own, right? So I'm just going to go up to the top of the tree. I like the idea of adding a little bit of red to the star, so I just kind of made a dot in the middle, pulled it outward, and then feathered it in so it's not too puffy. Do you see what I mean by that? But it definitely pops off of the card now. I'm going to go over to another one of the cards, and it's important with this paint that you work in sections and you're going to let your sections dry. They need to be dry because when you turn your card around and you're reaching over to add another color, you might put your wrist or your finger down into that wet paint and drag it, and that it makes a mess. It will stain. So just be sure that you're just careful and take your time. You know, this might not be a project you can do in 5 minutes, but I think that the effect in the end is definitely worth it, just like the ornaments that we did in the beginning. I thought maybe adding red to this card here would be pretty. You could add glitter, buttons, sequins, ribbons, trim, anything you want to the outside of the card or to frame it out additionally if you would like. Some of that gold rickrack would be really pretty around the edge. And then I'll only be adding a little bit other than the top here. And this is 3 times the speed. That's how long it takes to do it carefully. I just added some red to her bow that is underneath the brim of her hat. And I decided to make one of these trees have berries on it and the other one, I think I left white. Yes, I did. You can see the difference here. It's just a very little bit of embellishment, but you can go back and add green. I didn't want to overdo it. I really thought about it and just decided that maybe white would be the next dominant color, I guess you could say. Just a slight bit of gold right here on the flame of that candle. And then I'm going to switch over to white and start doing some snow. This is very simple. This is very simple. And I think you can get puff paints at Dollar Tree. I don't want to be mislead anybody, but I'm almost sure you can get some puff paints there at Dollar Tree. So you might want to, get a card and give it a shot. Try it. If you're worried about your skill with this, practice on something else. And then when you're feeling a little more confident, move over and start doing it on a project you want to keep. And show you this one. Look how cute. I love the lantern. It's pretty. Or the street light. Okay, so there are the ribbons that were the handles. You can iron yours. I just used my heat gun to blow them flat. And then I'm going to cut the edges off. And then we'll use this to attach this trio together. You can see here I'm going to have 2 here. I'm going to cut 2 more. And then the other strap or the other piece of ribbon we're going to use to make a little bow for the top. Very simple little bow. I'm doing this slowly and you can see how I do it. If you're new, don't be afraid of this little bow. It's very simple. And we're using ribbon we already had. And then I'll use a little bit of white thin ribbon to tie it in the middle. And I don't bore you with every knot that I tie, but I do tie 3 knots in here. I felt like it was a 3-day. You know, you have those days. It just felt like 3 knots that day, and I tied it in 3. Then I'm just going to pull that string to the back and cut it off. And you can dovetail or slant off your ribbon. You always want to give it a pretty edge. Take the little extra time for the effort, and it definitely pays off. I want the lantern to be the top, so I'm going to go right into the top with some hot glue. Press the center of that bow into there because I don't want to necessarily squish the fluff out of my bow. We worked hard fluffing, didn't we? I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. And then we'll put 2 of those pieces of ribbon. It's about a third onto the card, a third open, and the other third will be onto the back of the next card. Adding that glue. I'm kind of evening it and then dropping it down in the glue. And I'll press it down when I know it's where I want it to be. And then we'll do the same thing to the bottom. And whatever you do for the holidays, if you don't celebrate the same holidays that I do, that is totally okay. I wish you a happy holiday to anybody who is watching my video here today. There's the last one, dropped it in place and pressing it down. So they're about 1 inch apart, if I had to guess, maybe 3/4. This is what it is going to look like. And we will add a little hanger to it. These are just precious. The plaid pattern with that, I love it. I'm going to cut this little section off here, and this is very lightweight. And I'll take the other end, just say the end of it, and I'll loop it over on the back. I like this type because you can hang it off the Christmas tree with this type of a hanger. You can hang it off of a door, a hook, a narrow nook, whatever you wish. Very easy. I want to thank you for my members who are always here to support me. Thank you for all the super thanks to everyone else. We're going to start off with this little bear. I think he came off of a string of lights, maybe. It's got a little hole up there. Perfect. I'm going to use this little Christmas word that I got off of a Dollar Tree item. I'm going to use and recycle 2 of these little tins. So these are like molds. And I have 2 different sizes and kinds. We'll need some paintbrushes, preferably fine tip. And I'm going to use some spray paint in a hunter green and a metallic gold. We'll also use, of course, some greenery scraps. Perfect. So we're going to take these 2, and I'm going to spray paint the small one green and then gold on the other. While that's drying, we're going to address the teddy bear. So I'm using chalk paint on here. It has been washed. This is something that I thrifted. I'm going to add some white chalk paint on here. I did this a couple of different ways after I put this white on. And I knew I wanted to cover up this bow and either make this like a deep red, a beautiful navy blue, or like a dark green or a hunter green. So I needed to cover up that red. And I just started off by putting a coat of white on here, thinking that maybe that would help blend out the areas where there were polka dots. And it did a pretty good trick. It did a pretty good job there. So I'm just going to quickly dry it. It is chalk paint. It looked a little watery, but I had to add water to it. So there's the navy blue I'm going to use. You see, I had washed off the green. I didn't like it. So I decided that now we're going to go ahead and paint the bear. To get the right color, I'm going to mix 2 paints that I have that are chalk paints. Chalk paint works very well if you put it on top of plastic and surfaces like that. It'll stay in place. So I'm just going to use this and try to mix my colors. And I decided it wasn't quite the right color brown for what I wanted. optional, but the bear that they use, that Ralph Lauren uses is like it's a brown, like teddy bear, you know. So I'm trying to duplicate that as best as possible. I'm gonna add some glue here on the bottom and just use a leftover floral pick and let that dry so I have something to hold on to if I need it while I'm painting. Just smear it around there a little bit and let that set up, and then begin the painting process. So I have mixed acrylics before with my chalk paint, and I've never had a problem. And the case remains the same here. I'm using a pointed brush that is fluffy. I think it is actually a makeup brush, but when I find these things, I like to use those as, repurpose them. They're a good quality brush and it works really well getting in tight corners and small spaces. So I'm just showing you how I'm doing this. And I'm going to go over his entire head as well. And I will be giving him 2 coats, but I'll show you the difference here. So, yeah, when you look at the white now, it looks a little scruffed up. That's because I wiped off I couldn't get the right shade of green that I liked. I just couldn't do it. Even mixing, even using different types of paint. I even tried to use some slick paint on here, and I just couldn't get the color that I wanted. So, I'm going to dry this really quickly in between layers and cover up that kind of a yellowy color that is underneath there, that honeyish looking color. You can see it changes a little bit as it dries, the color does on chalk paint. Dancing, dancing. Okay, so this is a Christmas tree stand from Dollar Tree. Christmas tree. I just thought, hey, this would be a good way to hold it up so it can dry. So how about that? There's another little tip for you, another little trick. So now I'm taking this beautiful navy blue. I think it's called True Navy. And I'm going to put this on here. Now, again, chalk paint's going to dry a little bit darker. I didn't put the second coat of paint on here yet. I think my idea was, I was thinking, okay, so if I go ahead and do the bow, if I get any blue on the brown, then I can cover it up when I go back over it with next coat. That's what I did. So I'm going to continue all the way around here. Sometimes y'all, I'll do projects and it'll be maybe 2 weeks later before I find the right video to put those projects in, right? So it's been a while. I'm trying to remember what I did here. Forgive me for that. So he has his second coat of paint. He is nice and rich and beautiful. And I am now just using a felt marker here to just color in his eyes. This is actually just a felt pen. And I'm using that to cover his eyes. And I'm also going to add back a nose on here. Not worried about the mouth. We'll just let it be as it is. Beautiful. And I love the color he turned out to be. So he's dry. Look at him, but rather flat because that's what happens when you use chalk paint. No worries. I'm going to grab a brush. It's a stencil brush. It's just, it's kind of they don't have a small chippy brush, but these are really coarse bristles that are placed in there at different levels and different lengths. So this works pretty good for stuff like this as well. First coat's going to look a little bit rough when I put it on, but as I blend it out, you'll see that it gets much better. Originally, I thought I would just kind of do a light coat of this on here. And if you've been around, I always say go light first before you go dark because it's easier. It's easier that way to take off a little bit than a lot, right? So I am just putting some on here to see how heavy I want the coverage to be. Again, I know he looks rough right now, but it takes just a minute and he's going to look so much better. It deepens up the color. It makes it a richer, browner color. Takes away some of the flat grayish tone that is in there. And you can see that happening now. Also, using this wax is going to seal that chalk paint, so you don't have to worry about this chipping and coming off in the future. It's really important. I use chalk paint a lot for projects, but, if you're going to have it for any length of time, you want to go ahead and seal it with some type of a wax. All right. And it really does change things. So I'm making sure I get in there around that bow where his neck connects to his shoulders and around his ears. And look at the dimension. How cute is he? So here's the green and here's the gold. And we are going to make a little container or a little, what would you call this? I don't know, like a little planter maybe? Because we are gonna put some greenery in it. It's just a little mini, and it's also something that if you have a very large tree and you wanted to, you could probably find a way to hang it off the tree. But I like it as a standing piece. So now we have this beautiful little thing. If you want it to be permanent, be sure that you're using something like E6000 or some permanent, super glue. I decided to use this pick. It looks a little more elegant, and with Ralph Lauren style, elegance is important. So I'm going to use this beautiful greenery that has just a bit of frost or sparkle on it, a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to go in a circular pattern all the way around the inside of this container. I'll add another one here. It's very easy to do. I encourage you to save little pieces and scraps that fall off of your wreaths and other projects that you do, because you can save yourself a lot of money. Just get a little bucket or a large, like a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and throw those things in there, so when you have projects that are smaller like this, you can go to that bag instead of having to get into your larger picks that perhaps you spent a little more money on and you're not ready to use yet. These small things are perfect. Little twigs we're just pulling off and putting down in here. Now you can see there's a little, top on there or a little bump. I am going to use a piece of foam. This is, like I don't know, like a floral foam, I guess. I'm gonna press it down in there, cut to size, and then make a little dimple. Then I'm gonna use my permanent glue and press that down in there. Hold it in place. He can be glued on there if you wanna use permanent glue, but for me, I don't have time to wait and let that dry. I wanna get you this video, so I'm gonna show you how you can do this quickly, and this will also secure it a bit further. We're gonna put the stick back in now, and, I took it out because I didn't think I would need it. When I got to this point, I realized I did need it. So I cut it off about 1 inch long. After the glue sets up and it's still, I can help use that to hold him down in the little planter. How cute is he? Love this. So we spray painted this gold also, and I'm going to cut off some of the little parts on the back. This came off of like some of those tinsel looking Santa boots, or the little hanging things you can get at Dollar Tree. I took them off. I made something else with it, but I saved the little word, and it's perfect because to me it looks elegant. It's gold, and it looks like the little bear's holding the sign. Oh my goodness, I love that. And you can use any little bear that you have. You can go in the toy section somewhere and get a little bear if you want to use it. You know, you could even use a little plush bear here if you wanted to. Cute. Well, now he's got that hole in his head, so let's give him a hat. We're going to rob Mr. Snowman, and he's just a Dollar Tree ornament. And I'm going to pull his little hat off, take all the white out because we want it to be nice and neat. And then look how perfectly this fits on his head. So cute. I'm going to use a little hot glue. This is just like a little, maybe a flocked piece of like plastic, formed plastic. And I'm going to glue it on his head. It's going to cover up that hole. Look. Oh my goodness. He's so adorable. I love this. This is one of the most fun, cute things I have done. He's precious. I'm going to take these pieces in here and kind of lay them over on top, wrap them so that you don't see the foam that's on the inside. You can add more greenery, but I was out of what was on this pic, so this is what we got. He is adorable. Does anybody know the Ralph Lauren bear's name? I don't know. Does he have a name? I know you can see him in sweaters and different things. Cute. Oh, this is going to be cute too. So this is my little vintage deer. I got him thrifting. It's just a little fawn. He's so cute. I've got a half of an ornament. And this is where I get it from. I did do a video previously that I will link where I use these ornaments to make dome ornaments. This is a box from Dollar Tree. Just to give you an idea of my measurements. It's almost 3 and then almost 4 wide. I've got some fake snow that we're going to be using, of course. Got greenery, got a strip off of a box that I used on another project. And then some ribbon with jingle bells, of course. This I've had for a while that I got on clearance at Walmart. So I want to use this piece of box, and this is just the side of one of those Christmas boxes. And I'm going to use it to wrap around here. It's not exactly the size, but it's going to fit perfectly for what I envision. So I'm just going to wrap it around, make sure it's the right size. The part that has the little fold in it, we're just going to put that down first. Both ends have a fold, but the end, well, when you cover it, you won't see it. In other words, that little corner piece, we're going to cover it up. It'll be disguised. So I'm going to smear out this glue and not make any straight lines, because if you make straight lines with hot glue and you don't push it down fast enough, it's going to leave lines and bumps. And I'm trying to keep this nice and neat and high-end looking. I'm going to keep doing this until I get this wrapped all the way back around to my original spot. And I want it also to overlap on top of the area that we've already glued down. Where you put this seam is now going to be the back of your box. You don't want this seam in the front. It can even be on the side, but you don't want it on the front. So you need to keep that in mind when you begin to decorate this box in a moment. Nice, smooth, closed section. I love the red tartan. It looks like on the box it's cut like at a slant, but it is a tartan. And I'm going to layer some ribbons now on the top of the box. But first, we're going to use snow white, but any white that you would like to cover the top of this box. I want this to be the base of where I'm going to put some faux snow. And if you put it right on top of the box lid, you are going to not get that full coverage. You're still going to see it underneath, which is totally fine, just not the look that I'm going for. So I'm going to cover this with a layer of white. And then I'll let that dry or dry it. Either way is good. You can use a hair dryer for this. You can get cheap hair dryers this time of the year too. I'm going to use some Mod Podge. Doesn't really matter the formula. I'm going to put this on fairly thickly. If this was mayonnaise, it would be too much kind of situation. You know what I mean? You know how they do us on our chicken sandwiches at Burger King? Yeah. Little too much mayonnaise. So I'm going to get that off of there. I just want a nice thick coat, and then I will be able to dip this straight down into this snow. You can use fine salt, coarse salt. You got a lot of options that I put up there for you. Pressing it in all the way to the corners with my fingers and just really, really, really mashing it down so that all areas are covered with that snow. This is how it's going to look. I'm going to just take my finger and just kind of wipe away the excess on the outside. Some of it is going to be loose. You can tap that off, and you can even go over the top once it's dry with a spray adhesive if you want to. Using my rubber spatula, I'm going to push this in just enough where the edge of my snow globe section will sit. So that half ornament that we have, it needs an area to sit and not in the snow. If it sits on that faux snow, it's not going to get a good seal to the box, and I want it to stay on my box. I don't want anything leaking out. I call these snow globes. They don't have water in them, so in the traditional sense of it being a snow globe, it is not that. But it's a shaker. How about that? A snow shaker. So I'm just cleaning up my mess here, and you do want to let that dry. Mine is still a little damp here. I'm just going to hold it in place with my cutters, and I'm going to start adding a little bit of hot glue to put my ribbon down. Same situation here. Wherever you start, you stop, and that's going to be in the back or way off the side of your piece. You don't want that centered in the front of your box. So I'm going to just put a little glue down and wrap this around. This is a piece of burlap strap that came off of something else. Like I saved it off of something. And you can iron ribbons if they're not flammable, depending on the material, and use them again. So I do that a lot. So maybe you have a bag of this type of thing too, where you can keep your projects going and you don't have to spend a lot of money. All right, so get that down. I'm going to let it overlap slightly, and I'm going to glue it into place. Okay, so we got that first layer down, and going back to the seam in the back, I'm going to put a little bit of glue, and I'll start putting down my trim. I have some vintage red trim that I really wanted to use for this project, but I am It's so silly to say that I am terrified of using the rest of my beautiful red trim. I really want to save that for Valentine's Day because pretty much my channel now has gone to vintage type decor. In a lot of ways, it's something I really, really love, and you guys seem to really love that too. So I have a lot of that type of thing, and Valentine's Day gets me so excited because Victorian Valentine's is so wonderful. Okay, so we're going to follow this around, pressing this down into the glue. And the tension that you see me putting on there is only to help me hold that while I put it in place, to keep it from wrinkling or getting gaps in it. It's just something that I do. Whatever works to make it easier for you, do it that way. You might need to use a couple of little clamps or something. That's okay too. I love this. Look, I love you guys too. And I'm so grateful you came to see me today. Those are actual jingle bells, and they do actually shake and make a little noise. So now we know this is not going to fit back down on the box because we put a box around the outside. We put a thick piece around the outside. So this is not going to fit over the top of that. It's not going to get any bigger. So what I'm going to do is glue this right on the top. It's going to actually sit sort of on the top of the box, the plaid box layer that we put on there. You'll see what I mean. I am using my E6000 because hot glue dries very, very fast. And again, I don't want this thing falling apart. So now you can see it just goes over and sits there. Does that looks like a little drum. That looks like a little drum. How cute is that? So sort of like the drummer boy. Yes. And there we go with our little box. I'm loving the look of it. And now we can find a place to put our little deer. And of course, whatever piece you use on the inside, you want to be sure that it fits underneath the dome before you use it, right? That's something I've already done, but you want to be sure you do that. Looking at greenery, I decided to go ahead and just use this extra piece of, it's like a wired, I think you can get these at Dollar Tree, something similar to it. In the Christmas section, you can use that to wrap whatever with. It is wired and it's got, the little, looks like pine on there. So I know that I want him to sit in it. I just made a little oval and put the hot glue in there and pressed it down tightly into that snow. And then we'll nestle him right in the top. He's got hot glue on the bottom and I'm holding him down. Okay? Hold it down for a while now. I skipped that, so you don't have to watch all that. So now we're going to put the ornament on. Oh, it's going to fit perfectly. Look at this. Look how cute. I think I'm going to do a little video where I put all of my little pieces like this because they're so fun. I'm going to cut this clamp part off, and I'm just going to use my side cutters gently. And the whole time I was biting and gritting my teeth thinking, oh, please don't let me shatter this. It is plastic. It's a hard plastic, but you never know when it's going to split. So smooth down or sand your edge where you cut it off if you need to. And then I'm going to grab and go right along the line with that E6000. That, you remember the line we made with the little, the line we made, the little track. So we're going to put that down on that track so that we can put the dome on top of it and there won't be any leaks. I'm just going to put it on first, carefully. And then gently, I'm going to put a little bit, place really, this snow on top of this deer. I'm just going to place it on. I don't want it to fall into the glue I just put on. So I'm trying to be very, very careful. And yes, I'm crafting in my pajamas. How do you like those cuddle duds? Yes, not sponsored, just really like them. And they make them in petite. Okay, so I'm going to put that down, and it is right in that track we made, and it fits perfectly on the top of this box. You're going to want to let that sit and dry. Here is that red. Oh, the red. Oh, the red. I'm going to cut a piece off of it and use it anyway, guys. I'm using it anyway. A little bit on the back. This is going to be above where it's going to be kind of overlapping slightly where this attaches, where the globe part attaches down onto the box. Sometimes I wonder I go back and I watch the videos when I edit and it makes total sense what I say. But in my head as it's coming out, I'm like, they're not going to know what I'm talking about. That was so vague. But what I'm doing is just kind of layering this over the top. We're still going to see the green underneath. This is just another beautiful piece to add on here. It is vintage, and it is going to also help us hold that globe in place and cover up the seal that we made. Continue around here. You can use any type of ribbon that you want to use for this, or rickrack would be pretty, like that old-fashioned gold or silver, depending on the style that you like. But these colors that I'm using and that plaid are totally the Ralph Lauren style. And I hear people from other places that don't live in the United States to say that this is just traditional, that this is not any Ralph Lauren is something different or whatever. But in the United States, it's kind of a big deal this year. So I wanted to give you some options in case you wanted to make some upgrades in your Christmas decor without having to, spend a fortune. Now, where I cut it, there's a little gap. So I'm just going to repair that. And then this part of the video is just showing you that you can make things look neater if you just pay attention and take your time. A little bit of hot glue, and I fixed that where you can't even see the edge. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Y'all, this thing has my heart. As much as I love that first one, this one is equally as beautiful. I love this piece. It is so cute and so childlike and traditional, and just, I love it. And I hope you like it as much as I do. Maybe give it a shot. All right, we're going to use zip ties. You can also use pipe cleaners. I'm going to use my cutters. We're going to use some ribbon. We'll use 2 of these. 2 only, but they're options. Look what I found. These they're like napkin holders, but I got them at Ollie's. Look at the price. Oh my goodness. And these also came off of a bicycle basket, little straps. You can also use an old belt. And then I have some of this twine from Dollar Tree with berries. These are some picks that I got from Ollie's. Look, is that Joanne? Y'all, is that Joanne? I think it is. This is a wreath from Dollar Tree that I have spray painted black and used before. It is a 14-inch wreath, to give you an idea. I'm going to start by taking my pick apart. I want a nice, full presentation on this wreath. I don't want this thing to look scraggly, because we want this to be elegant and rich and really give it that warm, beautiful look. You know what I mean? That rich, it's still going to have that rustic look, but it's also going to be elegant, because we're going to add things to it to make it look elegant. Now that I've got all my pieces laid out and I know that I have enough, I'm going to start attaching them. If you want to go across the crossbar, you can do that with a zip tie, just like we do it when we use the chenille stems. You're just going to wrap it twice, pull it through, and that's going to keep your piece from sliding back and forth on the wreath. It'll stay right there where that little crossbar is. You can go to the next piece. I'm sort of bending these so that they have a bit of an arc or a bend in them, so that they fit around a round wreath instead of sticking straight out. Do the same thing here, show you it's very easy to do. You can get zip ties at Dollar Tree, and you can also get them, at Amazon or anywhere else that you look for your supplies. Very common items, very easy to use. I'm going to continue along using a bigger piece, a smaller piece, bigger piece, smaller piece, and this will end up with 3 pieces that have pine cones on them. And I know I don't do everything matchy-matchy, but my goodness, I wanted to make sure I had the right amount. It just bothered me for it to be anything other than what it was in my head. So that's why I went this route, but you can do whatever you like to make it your own. Cut off the excess that comes out of there. If it's a bigger pick and you need more than 1 piece, you are more than welcome to put on more than 1 piece. If you don't need to wrap it to secure it, you can just go right around once and you don't have to wrap it twice. Okay? I'm even going to do this one around the fluffy part of the branch, because the bottom part, there's not enough branch there to hold it securely. So I just run around this part. It's going to be overlapped. We're going to put something on top, so you're not going to see it. If you can get green zip ties, you could do that too, and then you would never see them. Or green pipe cleaners. Also, you see the piece that I'm wrapping around it now? Those are the little twists that you can get like from Dollar Tree, and you can put those around too if you don't want your pieces to show. I want this nice and rich. I'm trying to make sure that I have got it laid out in the way that I love it, and this is perfect. I love the wagon wheel. I love the whole equestrian idea with this wreath. I'm also going to make it look a little more equestrian by using the leather pieces. And there are gold buttons on these leather pieces. And I'm wrapping these around like you would wrap them around a napkin. That's what they are, right? So we're going to do a triangle form here since I only have three. There are four, but I'm going to use only three because I have three pine cones. I know my mind, it's just the way my mind works, y'all. If you need to cut your pieces down on your belt to make them smaller, if you're using a brown belt, then you can do that. And you can hot glue it if you don't have these and have the little gold button. And then you can just maybe put a gold tack on there to make it look like a buckle. It reminds me very much of the horse style. So we're going to cut 5 gold strips that are 18 inches and 3 brown strips. And then we are going to dovetail every piece. I love this satin ribbon. It is wired, believe it or not. I got it at the thrift store. I'm sure you can buy them anywhere you get your notions. Easy to cut this. We're going to cut from the fold to the edge. Make a little V. Same thing here. And then I'm going to cut myself a little piece of floral wire to give us something to attach this bow down onto my wreath. This is going to be the funky bow, which has been modified. So we're going to fold it in half and slide it up a third of the way. That's going to give me, see there, thirds. So I'm kind of visually thinking thirds. I'm going to fold it over. The small part is going to be the middle. Make sure that when you pinch this together, you're going to be holding that tail in there. You want the tail to be underneath where you're holding it. I'm going to use my hand as a clamp here and hold all these in my hand without letting go. If you need to use a clamp to this, you can until you get it, till you get used to doing this type of bow. It's a very pretty bow. It's a festive bow. It's definitely, I think, elegant with the satin and this gold. I think it's perfect for this wreath too. So we're going to continue along, and I want to be sure that I'm alternating so that I don't have all the same colors side by side. It just makes the presentation of the bow prettier, in my opinion. You can use blue, green, red. You could use only gold. You can use another shade of brown. If you have some faux leather ribbon, you could use something like that. The important thing for me and my bow is that I have wired pieces. Now, the gold is thrifted, and I have a roll of that. It's almost gone. I have used it for years in projects. That's just the way I do things. I just really don't throw it away if I think I might have a purpose for it again. There we go. Now, I've got all my pieces, almost, in my hand. So there will be 5 gold and 3 of the brown. I'm making sure that my loops are about the same size. Without letting go, I'm going to wrap this around, make sure I got that opening situated, because one way you put it in, it won't lock, the other way it will. The flat side is what you want to enter into, the flat side. So I'm going to pull that. Before I get it cinched down all the way, I'm going to take my floral wire and go underneath the zip tie. Get right in between there. I'm going to pull it tight and then snip off the excess. I'll bend this in half, just, really for safety. I don't want to be poking my fingers, and I have poked myself before with the wires, and it is not pleasant. I'm going to start pulling out your tails, and then we are going to fluff up the top. Now, it's got wire in it. Twist them around. Feel free to twist them. Feel free to give a little bend to them. Separate them. Guide them into the direction you like. I wanted to be sure that I got my tails the right length, and I'm happy with the length of this. And then I'll just start pulling apart the loops on the top. I'm going to pull them apart and move them around until I get the exact look that I am going for. Yes, I think this is going to work. And then once I know that I like my bow, I'll be able to grab up my wreath and then place that right on the top. Now, you can place your bow anywhere you want. You can make it to the side. You can present this any way you want to. I didn't want to put it in the middle because I had an idea for the center. I have this little button, and I cut the back off, and it has been painted gold. I'm going to use some hot glue just for the quickness of it, but you need to use something permanent if you want to keep this. And I'll try to get that right in the center. And that adds a little more elegance to this beautiful piece. So this is what we have so far. I'm going to take that bow now and pull those out. You can see I pull with my fingers, pull down and out, and that kind of flexes the bow. I know it's up there on the top where you can't necessarily see, but you see there. When you bend it, it will stay in place if you have the wire. I love this wreath. I do think it screams a Ralph Lauren and equestrian, which is absolutely perfect for this time of year. I'm going to start off with some navy blue paint, a little gold dove. You can see this is one I've painted and used in other projects. I like it better. And then this is a card that I got at the thrift store that I think is absolutely beautiful. I love the embossing in the gold, and I thought it would be perfect for this. Then I'm also going to recycle a little wood piece. You can see it's got chalk paint on it. I'm going to do my best to kind of get that off so that it doesn't muddy up the acrylic blue that I put on top. Get it nice and smooth. See all that extra dust? Wipe it down with microfiber cloth that is dry, and you can move right on. So I'm going to add on some of my navy blue paint. You could use navy blue, you can use a deep green, you could use burgundy or a deep red. All of those colors would look great with this theme. And these are not exact projects, of course. Of course. They are inspired pieces that will fit in perfectly if you want the look for less. Okay. You can just, do another project while you let it dry if you want. Doesn't that look like the globe? Okay, so let's take this card. And I think at some point in our lives, we've all crafted with cards, right? You can use a keepsake, or if you find a card that you really, really like at a store, you can certainly buy a card. And you can take a Christmas card that someone gave you. And I like the idea of being able to find something special and use that special piece. And then you can think of that person all year. All right, so I'm going to trim down. You can see that the embossing hangs over where this little frame is in here. Not a big deal if you're not using this type of card. You just want to be sure that you cut out the section that you want on your piece. I'm going to show you how I use scissors. And then if you have one of these little pendulum cutters, this is how you can do this. So now on the outside, I've got a mess. I'm just going to use my sander over here, and I'm going to sand down a little bit, and that is going to help take some of that rich blue off of there. I'm going to use some gold paint and my brush, a little sponge brush, and there we go. And then I'm going to use some white. It doesn't really matter what color white, but white on top of that wood will help seal that wood slightly and give you a base to put on any type of metallic that you want to put on there. And that way none of your colors are running, and you get that rich pop off of that lighter color underneath. But this move is completely up to you, whether or not you want to do it this way. Finish your back as well. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, or if you found anything new here so far, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. I'm always going to give you a lot of encouragement and answer your questions on your crafting journey, because we all need to get creative, don't we? Alright, so now I know my card is going to work on here. If I want to trim it more, I can. You could cut the tree out itself, but I like the idea of having this cream background. It's really pretty, like an ivory color. Another really rich color for Christmas time. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that gold paint and go around the edges with the foam brush, because rather than using like an antiquing wax, I want this to look just more of a complete look, not with that white on the outside, but we're kind of gilding it, making a little gold around the edge. If you like it, it's bringing you joy, then you're doing it right. Okay? Absolutely did not finish the back of mine because, I break my stuff down and use it over and over again. This one piece has been used over and over again. But I'll always try to tell you the right way to do it so that you can complete your pieces. Once you let that first layer of gold dry, get in there and then dab the paint on top of it. This will get rid of any brush marks, and it will just give it a nice finished look. Now I decided to go ahead and go around on the outside of mine and slightly overlap so that gold is almost like it's sort of wrapped on the edges. You ever seen like a crystal or like a resin piece of art, and then it has like a metallic edge around it, or like a stained glass window has the edging around it? That's kind of what I was thinking. I thought, yeah, we can do it there. Certainly we can do it here, right? And then I'm just going to use a glue stick to apply my card down. I'm doing this because it works. You can use a double stick tape here or whatever type of glue you want to use, but keep in mind that if you use hot glue, you're going to be able, when you press it down, you're going to be able to see your lines and the streaks underneath. So to have a nice clean look, I thought this would work. Plus with the glue stick, it kind of fills in the areas of the embossing so it still grabs down. And I don't have to worry about wrinkling it by putting some type of a wet adhesive on it. So once I get it squared up just to my eye, I'm going to press down on here and hold it in place so that it doesn't slide until the glue dries underneath. And the good thing about the glue stick is you can immediately continue your work while that dries. Alright, so now I'm going to use one of my little foam adhesive pieces, and I'm going to put that on the back of this dove. I didn't finish her because we're not going to use that side of her, right? But again, she's a piece I've used on several pieces, and I will be using it again, I'm sure, in the future. Doing this gives me a little bit of room to add it to the top, and she looks like she's flying over. It's a very regal look to me. I like it. Different, yes, it's definitely different. This would be really cute if you wanted to add a button or any type of little jewel or piece underneath there. Very cute. Or you could leave it just like this. And the hanger, of course, is going to be your choice. I'm just using a scrap of this metallic looking, this is like trim, I think, that is twisted up with some green and red. You've seen it in other crafts. I've got a lot, so you'll be seeing it again. Christmas. That's right. We're going to stretch our dollar. Yeah, I'm telling you, this year we're doing it. I'm going to add some hot glue and drop both of those little ends down in there. If you want to do a knot and do this, you can, but I just didn't do it because I didn't have a long enough piece. And then a little piece of paper over the back with the hot glue on there, and it's going to stay in place. And I'll just trim that off to make it look nice and neat. So just envision your back painted, right? Yes. Thank you to my members whose monthly contributions help with supplies and all the extras to keep us going. My children and I thank you very much. The brass or gold deer is next. Alright, I've had this thing for ages. I had two of them. Don't know where the other one is, but they no longer match what I got going on. And I thought this would be perfect. I wish I had a horse, but I don't. So we're going to use a deer, and we're going to make a brass deer. That is something that you will find in the Ralph Lauren decor. Alright, so I've got some metallic paint here. It is in a gold. You can use it on plastic, metal, whatever. So I thought, well, we'll give it a shot. I cleaned them up very well, and we pranced on out to the yard. This is one coat of that paint. One coat as I was having a conversation with my next door neighbor. Yep, she and I were talking and I was painting. Yep, our little pup was walking around. I'll take some of this very pretty ribbon. And you can use satin ribbons, you can use velour or velvet, whatever you like. Again, keeping in mind those darker tones work really well with this style. So that'll give you an idea about how much I'm tying around the neck. If you don't have this exact deer, it doesn't matter. You can use a plastic deer. You can use a plastic deer ornament from Dollar Tree to get the same type of look. Just spray paint it. It could be white, it could be brown, it doesn't matter. Then we're just going to tie this around here with a very simple little bow. Then I'm going to make 2 loops and tie it and then pull it down. Now, whatever method you use for tying on bows is totally fine. You know, we all do things differently, and it's great if you want to offer some advice in the comments on how you might, you know, be helpful to somebody else who's here to craft, and that would be great. I love it. Love it when people help each other out in the comments. You have amazing soul, all of you do. You're so sweet and so kind to one another, and I appreciate it. Look at that. So if you wanted to leave it alone with just that, in itself, somewhere in a vignette would be gorgeous. But you can take little pieces of greenery, perhaps from last year, because we've got that bucket, don't we? Don't we have the bucket of extras? We do. And cut a little piece, and then I'll trim another little piece, because to scale, that one piece is way too big, and it would overwhelm what's going on with that deer. So I'm just cutting it into little bits, and I think that it's appropriate, and it is totally fine. Love the lush greens and berries and things like this, and this type of decor as well. You don't see me use a lot of plaid, but it's coming. Yes, it is. Okay, So this is what this little pretty deer is going to look like. Very nice. It's definitely going to have a place in my home now, when before it was almost in the thrift box. That's right. She almost went to live with someone else. Or he, whatever. Framed ornament is next. Here's a frame that I used on another project for Halloween. We're going to use it now. Here's the size. You can get a size up from this if you would like. Totally up to you. You want to be sure that whatever ornament that you choose is going to fit. It would preferably be flat on the back, but I'll show you how to fix it if it's not. Got some E6000 and a gift bag. Now the gift bag came from Ollie's, but I'll show you the maker. You can get any plaid gift bag, or if you wanted to, you could use a gift box for that matter. I am going to say this is my keepsake ornament that I really enjoy, and that's going to be my showstopper. So now we're going to get this bag, and we're going to take the ribbons out because they can be used again. We'll pull off the little piece here, and I tore mine. I sure did. Look at that. Yes, it happens. No one's perfect, and I got in a rush. That's my fault. I can tape it back together if I want, or if the bag is big enough, it doesn't even really matter. Which my bag was big enough, thankfully. My mistake ended up working out. I just need enough to cover the bag. See there? Perfect. I'm using a white marker just because I can see it, but you can flip it over and use a dark marker on the other side. And I'm going to trace it out so that I can have a backing for this picture. And I'll cut that right on down, trim it up to the right size that we need. Y'all apologize for my camera in the last video. Not my camera, my mic. My mic was going weird, and I'll be darned if in this video my camera didn't go nuts. So y'all bear with me. You know I love you, right? Okay. I'm going to use a little bit of E6000 to put the backing on here instead of using hot glue, because I need to be able to have a moment to slide this to make sure it stays where it needs to be, that it's located in the right spot, right? So if I used hot glue and stuck it down, excuse my head, then it would be stuck there. And I won't be able to slide it, and then I've wasted a piece of the bag. So we don't want to do that. So that's why I decided to use a little bit of the E6000. And now that I know it's where it should be, where I want it to be, I'm just going to use my little squeegee here and press this down to make sure that it spreads just enough under there to reach between the paper and the frame. And then I have the excess that I can now cut off with a utility knife and make it nice and crisp. If you want to use cardboard on the back of yours, you may certainly do it. It's going to make it more steady. Totally whatever, you need for your own home. For me, my kids don't mess with my decor, so this could totally be okay as is without adding a backing to it. So now we have a little dimension there. We've got that in the back. We've got this double frame look here. And I thought, let's do some gold. We need to add more gold. There is some in that bag print. And I thought, we're going to carry it out. And then, because we also have gold on our ornament there, right? You could also do this with maybe a snowflake. If you wanted to do a snowflake, it would be beautiful if you had a green and blue plaid that you could use in the background and then have a white snowflake just popping off the front. That would be so pretty. I'm using what I have here, but I'm letting you know other ways that you can do things that, just to bring you some inspiration, so that if, maybe budgets are tight and you're not able right now to go out and buy all new decor. Think about what you have and what you can switch around a little bit to make it fit better in your home and maybe be a little bit on trend, if that's what you like. Okay, now once that's dry, we're going to place the star right here. And I love how the star extends past that black for the frame. So you'd want to use E6000 if you have something that is kind of concave in the back like this, because it's not flat. Totally up to you. Generally, your hot glues are not going to stick as well to glass, but like I said, whatever your experience is and you want to do is totally fine. And then if you don't have the dip in the back, you could just glue it straight down to the front of your glass. But E6000 is going to stick better to that glass, where it's kind of short term if we do it with hot glue. Again, I recycle and repurpose my pieces, so I don't mind if it's temporary for me. Think of the other things that you could use. okay? Nice. And you could go all the way around the entire back if you wanted to. And if they had one that was like a faux brass, you could use that. I've never seen one at Dollar Tree, but you could. All right, so those are the 3 new ones. I'm going to reuse these bells that I've used previously in other projects. And we're going to use these in the middle of a wreath. I'm going to use some gold metallic paint. Same one we've been using for the other crafts we've been doing. Okay, and I'm just showing you here how I'm going to just use a piece of wire to twist and make a hanger so I can hang it off of a tree outside and get to all of my surfaces easily. I'll leave it outside to dry and we'll start working on the wreath. We'll need some pipe cleaners or some zip ties. You'll need some deco mesh. Mine is about 21 inches, I think, is the standard one. And then this is how much I have left on my roll. I didn't use all of it. Letting you know that because I don't have exact measurements. This is a piece that I thrifted. All right, so I am walking my hands together. We're going to create a little tail on the bottom, and that's going to be our starting section. I want to grab a zip tie. We'll go under the middle bar and go over the cross section and pull that nice and tight. And this is what's going to hold this in place. Even if you decide to use pipe cleaners, it's best, in my opinion, to first put down that, that zip tie because it's stronger. All right, so now we're going to make poofs. This is so easy. Don't be scared to do this. We're going to make 10-inch poofs. There's my ruler. There's my poof. I'm going to pinch it up and pull it to about the center of that section. And then I'll use a zip tie and put that one down. I'm going to show you how I use a zip tie a few times and show you how to do a pipe cleaner. For those of you who are new and not aware and are new to crafting, I want y'all to have some options, see what you got at home that you can use. We're going to do the same thing again. Go down here, measure out 10 inches. I'll grab that section. I like to roll my outsides inward. If you don't have a good quality deco mesh, they can shred really easily and kind of fall apart. So if you wrap it back on itself, it makes the pretty side of the fabric be upright. Okay, nice and tight here. Clip that off. And then we're just going to continue along just like this. Each of those little sections you see there, and this is the larger of the Dollar Tree wreath forms that you can buy, the metal wreath forms. So there'll be cross sections that go across the rings. There are 3 rings and then cross sections. And so we're just going to be attaching down. So there's cross sections and then in the center section, those will be secured in those areas. Yeah, excuse my voice. We've been doing some yard work today. So we've been down in the woods pulling limbs and stuff, and my allergies are going nuts. Okay, so we're going to go over and show you again another. And I wanted to just say, I left this much of this in here because not all of us know how to do this. And I want to be sure everybody feels included and some people just aren't the type of people to be in the comments asking questions. So they kind of give up. They don't ask their question. But I encourage you in the comment section here to ask questions. I'm going to help you. There are lots of people who have been on my channel for a long time who have followed me, who also read other people's comments and are very helpful. So get to know the people here. We're a big old family. I'm making it my own. Continuing along, you saw how I used the pipe cleaner. You can, if you decide to use pipe cleaners all the way around, that gives you an opportunity to have another way you can connect like a ribbon stack to it, a decoration to it, an ornament to it, Okay, so we're going to go all the way around. Same thing with the little poofs. And then we're back to the beginning. I'm going to get my poof. I'm just going to show you how I kind of tied this together here. No, I'm not trained to do wreaths. No, wreaths are not my forte. I am self-taught. These are ideas to inspire you. And if you know a better way, feel free, to do that. And, we all have different techniques, but I want to show you different ways. Just like I showed you, you can cut the zip tie with scissors, or you can cut those with wire cutter. We don't all have the same things at our house, right? But crafting brings me so much joy. Creating brings me so much joy. That's why it's so important for me to include everybody so that everybody knows they can have that kind of joy in their life too. Not everybody's at the same point your neighbor's at, right? But we all deserve to feel proud of ourselves, don't we? If you're new here and you're learning anything, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel and giving me a thumbs up, and commenting lets YouTube know that I am doing my job over here and I am working hard to give you quality material that you can be inspired by. So then I just cut off a section about as long as the piece that I already put down there, and I would say 4 inches if I had to guess. We're going to go inside each of those loops, just follow down. I'm going to kind of push the outside up a little bit and then pull them out. You remember how Mama put her stockings on before church, and she would put her toe in. She'd have it all fed up into her hand so it looked like a little potato. And then you put your toe in and then you kind of walk those toes up. Well, that's what we're doing here. We're kind of putting our fingers in there and we're walking that out. Good grief. I'm telling you, my brain sometimes. I hope y'all got a kick out of that. Speaking of, I remember my grandma also got legs pantyhose, and they were eggs. And we got those eggs and played with them. Yes, we did. We sure did. We were a mess. Bunch of girls. Yep. All right, so I'm pulling all these out just to make it fuller, and you can see it's nice and full. Now, the only wreath form I had was the dark green. If you can get gold and you're using a lighter colored mesh, that's a good idea. Even silver probably would be less visible. But I'm going to show you something else that you can do that's going to help cover that up. Now, see on the back where the sections are, you can actually take the parts that are on there in the middle and slide them back and forth so your poofs are nice and even. And you don't have like big gaping holes in there if you don't want them. Okay, so you can leave your tails hanging out like I did, the beginning and the end of the mesh where we cut it, or you can just tuck it back inside one of the little poofs that are nearby. Also, in these types of wreaths, you can double up on your deco mesh, and then you'll have an even fuller wreath if you do it that way. Totally up to you. I know. We're thinking outside of the box here, and a lot of people think that deco mesh is not the rich look that you would get from like Ralph Lauren inspired decor, but I'm going to show you that we're going to make this look pretty, okay? We're going to tone it up. So I'm showing you some things that you can use here in your wreath if you choose, and I decided to use this holly and berry ribbon. Very pretty. I've used it in some other projects, and we have some sets now that you can put together. The decor is going to be matching, and some things that we've already made in the vintage or the Victorian style decor. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of stuff that looks good together and coordinates nicely in the house if you decide to do it that way. But you can change it up, and if you're doing it for somebody else, as a gift, then just think about what colors they like, what theme they enjoy. If they like the Grinch, maybe you'd want to do something that's a little more Grinchy. You know what I mean? Okay, so I've just taken 18 inches of this ribbon and cut it in a strip, and I'll do a bunch of these strips. 18 inches, that's what my ruler is here. I don't want to confuse anybody because this is not a standard ruler. This is, 1.5 feet. And I'm just going to cut a bunch of these off. I would want enough to go across every single section where the poof is connected down. So you see me tying over the top of the zip tie or over the top of your pipe cleaner, whichever one you have there. If you had the dexterity to do it, perhaps you could skip the entire pipe cleaner or zip tie thing and just tie these down with the ribbon, tie your poofs. I don't think I would trust it. But you could do it, I bet. Okay, so then I'm just going to twist my ribbon around. You need to use the wired ribbon, if I didn't mention that already, because a ribbon that doesn't have a wired edge is going to be floppy, especially a ribbon this size. So having some wire in it helps you pull those up, put them in a shape that you like, and they will stay there, essentially. I mean, the wind's going to blow things around, but you can pretty much make them stay in that position. So if you have a ribbon that's more vivid on one side than the other, like this ribbon that I have, because this is probably like gift wrapping ribbon, to be honest with you. It's only patterned on one side, so I would want the other side to be on the back. After you tie the knot, you can just twist it around and put it in that position if it doesn't naturally try to go that way. Okay, so I'm just going to continue along and do this, and I think a dovetail in the end just gives it a cute look, and it kind of reminds me of, that the berry leaves are prickly and they have little pokes on them, little pokies on them. So it just kind of reminds me of that when you cut in a dovetail for this particular project. I don't know, y'all. Yeah, you know at this point with how my head works. All right, so I decided to use another piece of this ribbon, and I'm going to use it to make a hanger. I wanted to see how it was going to look, if I thought it would work for this. And I think it will. So I'm just going to get the length that I like. So whatever size bells you have, if you have bells that are like these, you just want to kind of look at your wreath first and see where you would like them to be positioned, and then glue your pieces down. We've still got to loop it through the metal part of the wreath form, and we're going to loop it through the inner ring. And like I said, I'm keeping in mind where I want these bells to hang, because I don't want them to be too high and then there's a hole. I don't want them to be too low down and then there's a hole. So I'm trying to get it sort of close to centered, but I know I want to do a little something extra here, because I want to show you that you can add a bow if you would like, and you can add some greenery. So hang in there, because we're going to get to it. Okay, so now I know that this is the length that is going to work. I'm going to add some glue. Put it in place, protect your fingers, and I'm sorry my nails are a mess right now. It's that time of year. Okay. I love this gold spray paint. I really do. And so then you can fluff out all your little ribbon pieces, and you can do these ribbons in stacks. You could do several different ribbons there and really make it more full. I was kind of trying to be a little more minimal with this. If we're going to call it Ralph Lauren, we don't want to get too nuts with it, right? We want to do that understated elegance. So that's what I'm trying to show you that you can do, I think, even with deco mesh wreath. Yeah. We want to have options in our home. Who says that only people with a lot of money can have beautiful homes, right? Darn that. Okay. So now I've just tied right on top of the ribbon to keep it from allowing that to slide back and forth, because I didn't tie it to or secure it to like a cross beam. It was in between, so I needed something to support it and keep it from moving. So that's why I did that, and I could have dovetailed it too, but that's just kind of to hold it in place. And so now this is the part where we're making the bow. I've got about 10 to 12 inches of a tail, and then I've formed a loop. Then I'm going to pinch it in my hand, form another loop, make sure it's about the same. I would say I can't give you measurements on this, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm just not that type of a professional. I'm self-taught. But I can show you how, and you can even put it in slow motion and slow it way down, and you can pause it. You can do all kinds of good stuff over here on YouTube. Yes, you can. So I know I want to have a 5th loop in the middle, so I'm just going to create a 5th loop. So now I have 4 loops. I'm going to cut it off with a little bit longer tail, just so that I can trim it down at whatever length I like. We don't cut too much off first time, right? And then I'm just looking at it in my hand, trying to get it secure so that I can then tie it in place with a zip tie or with a pipe cleaner. Leaving the pipe cleaner on this gives us the opportunity, again, to use it as a connection and secure that down to the top of where the bows are, or the bells are. Alrighty. And so we'll go right there, and I'm just going to secure it. I'll show you here through the back, over that section, and secure it down. This is not the kind of wreath you want to put on a glass door where you can see the back of it, because it is not. It's just not. Put it on a solid door, put it on the wall, hang it in the hallway, however you want to do it, I kind of wanted to make a rhyme there, but I didn't do it. I'm sparing y'all. I'm sparing y'all today because I love you, and it's the week of Thanksgiving. Nobody needs that version of me today. I'm already being silly. Okay, so there's my little bow all fluffed. Now you can put your tails off to the side if you want. You can cut these tails at a slant. You can dovetail these. And again, dovetailing is just cutting your ribbon from the wired section up toward the middle at an angle, and it makes a little fork in the bottom. 2 little, well, I guess not a fork, but makes a V in the bottom. Because it has wire, you can kind of bow it a little bit like that. You can twirl it around your finger. You can make it curve. You can leave it in the middle, or you can put with one tail off of each side. And you can use the ribbons that's already down on there to help secure those things in place, kind of hold them in place. And this is how it's going to look. So again, you want to stop at that point, you can. If you want to add a little more, here's some dark green and deep red, which are all in the Ralph Lauren style right now. They're also very Victorian, which makes my little heart happy that all these things work well together because I've been creating both and I've been having fun. Okay, this is the final product, and you can always hang that straight off of the hook or the hanger right off of that metal loop because you'll have room back there to do that. Here's how it looks when it is outside on the door. So some options that I didn't use would be some velvet ribbon or a little bit of Dollar Tree ribbon, just something that looks in the deep colors that, are fitting into the Ralph Lauren style. I've got some gold paint and this beautiful card that I thrifted. It was still in the plastic with the envelope, but the horses and the sleigh just scream Ralph Lauren to me, so we're gonna go with that. And no, they're not playing polo, but who knows what they do in the off season? We, don't assume too much. We don't assume too much. Okay, I'm going to take this little frame that came from Dollar Tree and we're going to take it apart. I like the fact that it is silver, but it has that speckling and that line through it, almost like marble does, even though we know it's not marble. But it would give, in my opinion, like an aged look. So first of all, we got to secure this thing because you get these frames at Dollar Tree, they're hit or miss. But an idea just to secure it is to use a little hot glue on the backside of it. Put those pieces together and squish them together. You can also use super glue if you would like to fill in your spaces. All right, so here's that beautiful card. I'm just going to open it up and I will cut it down the middle because you can use scissors for this. And if you happen to have a paper cutter like those pendulum cutters, this is a really good time to use it too, especially on little straight detailed lines like this. You just put it in there and slide the blade. Now, I should have put my blade up top and it snagged on there instead, but I fixed it. And it gets, you get a nice clean look there. I'm going to try to add some links for y'all to some of these things I'm talking about. All right, so you could use spray paint, but it's going to completely cover up the black. I don't want to do that. So I have some of this that I got at the thrift store. It's actually stencil paint. And I thought, well, I've never played with it before. It's got to be a little thicker. So let's give it a shot. It's got almost a moussey or gel-like consistency. So I thought, well, if nothing else, we'll put it on here. It'll be good as like a base in between, like a primer. So I just brushed it on, and then I went back over with the same technique I do so often when I'm redoing frames and other pieces, and just take a sponge brush and just bump it up and down, up and down, up and down. It's going to give it some texture, which does not bother me at all. And it's going to give me the color still showing through from the black. That marbling is still going to show through. It's going to make this look a little more aged. And I just thought it's a better look. It's a nicer, maybe an upgrade for a Dollar Tree piece because there is some potential, right? So that's what it's going to look like as I'm doing it. And you need to be sure you just go ahead and go all the way around and let it dry completely. You can even let it dry overnight if you want. And so here it is, nice and dried, complete and dry. Now, option number one is to put this back like it was. Put it inside of your glass. Option number two is to go ahead and put it on the outside. Why? Because it's different. We could do it differently. But it also gives you the opportunity to use all types of cool little gadgets you might have, any little metal pieces, any little scraps, ephemera, corner protectors, thumb tacks, upholstery tacks. I want to show y'all how to use some things that maybe you haven't used before. Maybe you even have it at home and you haven't thought to use it. Look how pretty these are. These have actually like a star in the head and they stick out a little bit. But I thought they looked so cool. Well, I was obviously not going to stick it through that frame. So just taking some cutters and cutting that off is now going to give me a flat surface. I can glue this card down. Got to move kind of quickly unless you want to use some other type of glue because hot glue dries fast. And just tap it into place just where the glue is because you don't want to push your card through. Make sure you eyeball it and it's fairly straight there. And I like the look of that. And then I'll take each one of these little I don't think these are upholstery tags. We're just gonna call them brads. I'll try to find them if you're interested and link them down below for you or link them in the comments. Um, they're pretty, and I thought that star on there just reminds me of the type of garb that horses wear, race horses and things like that. You'll sometimes see stars with rodeos and with horses. So I thought that would be really cool for the Ralph Lauren look. I like that the metal look is different. So it's two different ones, but it looks to me very pretty, very elegant, kind of rustic even, but definitely I think it fits perfectly into the Ralph Lauren theme. You want to put your back on there, you can, just so that you get the use of that stand. Or you can make a hanger with the ribbons from before that I showed you. This is what that piece looks like. All right, so we're going to use some spray paint. I love the hunter green color here, but I also have hunt club green. It needs to be a rich dark green. I have an ornament. It's just something I spray painted nickel, a project that I never finished. And then I have rub and buff. I'm going to try to see if I like European or the antique wax better, the gold color. And then this is a wood little candle stick that I thrifted. I've had it for a long time. I've used it. These are the measurements for you to give you an idea. It's got a lot of damage. There's damage on there. Looks like it got painted over. I don't know if it's supposed to look like maybe it was aged. I don't know, but we're going to go with it. I think it'll work. So I'm going to use a floral pick here to give me a little something to hold my ornament. So when I take it outside, I can put it in a bottle and it won't fall over and I can get to all the sides. So this is the one I chose. While it is drying, we're going to work on the candlestick. I've got the two colors. For whatever reason, this came out so nasty. It came out so oily. I don't know. But anyway, I tried the antique wax is what I got there at the bottom. And I decided, yeah, we're just going to use that. So I'm using a cloth on here. It says you can use a gloved finger if you would like. And I'm going to show you that technique in just a little bit. But on this, I am using a rag because I have only used rub and buff a few times. I've kind of gone back to what I know works. And I kind of stick to that, but I want to try some new things because I have been told by several sweet ladies who are always talking to me on here that rub and buff is fantastic and it'll change your life. And let me tell you, it changed the life of this candlestick. I'm not even sponsored to talk about rub and buff, but would you look at this? The color. And the fact that it's a little bit banged, it was already banged up as a piece of wood, and you can see those imperfections in there. I love it. Look at that. Oh, look at the difference. That's crazy. So I'm just adding it on and rubbing it in. And then in the areas that I want to be sure, now you could leave that dark area to make it look as though, it's just natural aging or shading or whatever. But I wanted to fill it in. So use a very soft brush and dip into the wax, and then you can go back in there and get into those little tight spots. I will do another wax on top of this, but you'll see that after a while. But this is how it's looking, and I absolutely love it. Now, if you're going to glue anything to the top, you may want to skip the whole waxing the mouth of the candlestick that you're using. Don't wax it if you're going to have to glue onto that. But I'll show you what I do because I waxed mine. I love how this turned out. It's so pretty. And I've buffed it out, and we're going to set it aside. I'm going to use some antiquing wax and some gold rub and buff. I'm going to use a stiff brush here. And then the ornament that we spray painted. Look how pretty it turned out. What a beautiful green. But it's so flat and it has just barely any dimension. We're fixing to do it to it. Do you hear me? We're fixing to do it to it. So I'm going to protect my table and put this down. I know that you can layer waxes. So I am going to layer down first my dark wax to go into all of the all the areas below and out in the shadows. It helps add that depth, that helps add that dimension. Putting the dark wax on top, then rubbing that off and going back in with a lighter wax is really going to accentuate the areas that we want to accentuate. So hang in there because this blew my mind. This absolutely blew my mind. So we're adding on a little bit of the wax, and then I'm rubbing it back while it is still damp, just working in sections. Look already at the difference in the aging that puts on there. I love it. So when you wipe it back, you can see clearly the areas that still need a little bit of attention, and that's using this big stiff brush like this helps you get into those little cracks that you might normally miss. It's maybe a stencil brush. I'm not entirely sure. I've had it a long time, and it probably came from the thrift store by the looks of it. Okay, so look at this. Look at the difference before and after just that part of the aging process, the difference. So much better. So I was very excited as this process was going along because I thought, yeah, I can see now where this is going. I had no idea. Okay, so I'm wiping it all back, and be sure that you do the top of your ornament too. You can use an ornament that just recycle something you already have if you would like. I had this one. This was in my craft pile and I didn't use it. I just started on it and never finished the project. So I'm going to use a little bit of heat just to help me dry that wax just a little bit. But you can leave it overnight. You can wait, check out your dry time and leave it. So now I'm looking at it to make sure I like it. It's nice and dry. I'm going to grab that gold rubbing buff again, and this time I'm going to use a latex glove. Y'all, to show you and just tell you everything I save, I used to dye my hair. It was over a year ago. My hair's been natural for quite some time now, but I used to buy the hair dye, and so they came with boxes of gloves. And so I'm just using my glove there, and I saved them, and now I use them in the craft room. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm tight, y'all. All right, so I'm just using my fingertip to go over the areas. I'm trying to keep the pad of my finger flat and add just a little bit at a time. I am trying to avoid any of the flat surfaces on the bottom, like the areas that are flat, that don't have a decorative piece and then are not in the shadows. I'm trying to avoid that part of it. I don't want to leave streaks on there because I want this to look elegant and rich and beautiful. So this is what we're doing. Oh, doesn't that make you want to do the gingerbread dance? Look at him hopping around. It just makes me want a cookie, to be honest. I do have some of those in the cabinet. In fact, I might need coffee and one of those snack cakes shortly. All right, so moving along. I'm going to go across here, and the center of this section is raised. You wouldn't have known it, but look, y'all, look at this. Please tell me y'all are going to try to do this. Please tell me. Please. Okay, so the bottom is my experimental section there because I wanted to see how it would blend, if I could blend it out smoothly into that area and kind of buff it out. I couldn't do it. Maybe if I'd add more wax to it, I might could have, but I just added a little more brown wax afterward to try to cool it down a bit. And then just to give it a little more warmth, I went around it with the wax. I'm not trying to do major shading or anything here, just deepening the warmth just a little bit. You really can't even see it. So attaching these two things together is pretty easy. I'm just using some recycled foam, cool temp glue to hold it in place, and the tip will still kind of burn your foam, but it'll keep it in there. You want it to be just below the surface of your ornament. Now you could stick it on this way if you wanted to glue it flat onto the ring, but we've already waxed, so that's not going to be an option for us. A much sturdier way to hold it in place is to use a stem and some hot glue in that ornament where it naturally would hang from in the first place. I'm going to set it down, let it dry. My wax is dry, by the way. Everything's dry, y'all. Before we connect things, they need to be dry. I'm going to add some tight bond glue on top of my foam. I shoved it in there. And then I'm going to push the pick down into here. Now, until that dries, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue, just a little bit, right at the base so that it will drip down into where that foam is. I would rather have it there. It's not going to work if you stick it on top of the wax. Usually it will repel it and it'll pop up. That's going to hold it into that glue underneath will set and hold it. Look at this thing. This is very elegant to me. I think this would be beautiful on a mantle, just anywhere. I love this. I've done ornaments before, standing ornaments, and I've never done one that has turned out so rich looking. I am very, very pleased with this, and I would love it if you would share with me if you think you might be doing one of these things. We're going to use a glue stick for this project, some scissors, the Noel metal sign from Dollar Tree. Here's that information for you. Any type of craft paper that you would like to use. This is just an example. And then, some scrapbook pages, whatever you might have. These are old. They were gifted to me, so I'm not exactly sure where they came from. You just want to be sure that for the Victorian theme, you're using some colors or some pages that will match what you're looking for in your personal decor. So we can turn this on a slant and it will fit this Noel sign perfectly. Yes. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to flip that paper over. And then we want the paper to be on the front side of the Noel sign. So we're going to use the glue stick and rub it all over the edges and all the way across this galvanized metal piece. Dollar Tree has been doing metal pieces like this for a long time. And if you're not going for the galvanized look in your home, you can make these things over. You can put paper on them. You can decoupage them. You can do paint, spray paint, whatever you like. And so I want to show you a way that you can do this for $1.25 and whatever you might already have in your craft stash. You can even use wrapping paper for this, y'all. Yes, it's that easy. Even the thin kind, because glue stick is not going to get this surface really wet, so you can kind of protect your paper this way. Now use whatever type of squeegee you like and flip that over, and then just make sure that you are pressing out wrinkles, pressing out bubbles, and making sure that it is adhering down to the paper. Adhering. I left off part of the word. Okay, now continuing along. We're going to flip it over, and this is still wet. It's not completely dry, but it dries fairly quickly. I'm going to cut off the excess. It just makes it a whole lot easier, and I'm not having to turn my scissors so many times. I'm going to cut the bulk of that off. Then you can use some type of a sandpaper, or this is like a sanding sponge, I guess you would say. And I'm using this to kind of go around the sides and the edges to get the edges nice and crisp. You can see that I need a new one. And then I'm going to flip it over on my, this is like I don't know if this is the ones that's used for scrapbooking or if it's the one used for sewing, but that's what we're going to use it for. It's a self-healing mat, and I'm going to use it to cut. So my utility knife is going to cut through the paper and into the mat without damaging my table. And my poor table has seen some rough times, y'all. It really has. These are little sanding sticks that I have. I like to use in tight spaces. And then, there's some turns in the letters and some corners that are difficult to get into with large pieces. So just make sure that you get it as close as you can. I'm going to use my scissors to cut out the little different pieces on here. So little vignettes or what have you. I'm going to cut those out. I'm just cutting them out in squares. If you want to use them in squares or circles or whatever shapes, if you want to use a punch, you can do that. But for me, I like to pull these apart. I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna use my right hand, hold my thumb down on the paper, and then using my first finger and my thumb, I'm gonna tear upward, upward, upward. This way, that white part of the paper is on the outside. If you pull it the other way, then you might have a clean edge, and I don't want a clean edge. I want a rough edge. So that's what I'm doing here. This does not have to be an exact circle. It doesn't have to be an exact square. It can just look like it is old and torn. Because when we treat this with our antiquing wax, it is going to have such a nostalgic, old-fashioned look that I just absolutely crave and love in my projects. And I hope it is something that you at least try to see if you like to you might want to expand your repertoire of skills when you're crafting. And this is a good way to do it. Just try something different. It's a piece of paper and you can throw it away if you want to practice on something else. So like I said, leave the edges crisp if you would like, or you can tear them. And I'm just showing you how I'm just tearing along. And I'm making sort of an oblong shape out of this rectangle. Really easy to do. Holding with my thumb and flipping this up. If you've learned anything new so far, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I love having you here. I love talking to you. And I'd love for you to be part of our family. So we're going to continue along and do all of those the same way. I'll grab my antiquing wax and a little finger dauber. These are linked in the description box, I do believe, if you're looking for some. And I'm going to go around the edges of my little vignettes or the little paper pieces. You can put it on the paper and push it down if you want to, or you can just hold it in your hand and go around the edges. The look will be a little different. It's a little more feathered and lighter if you do it in your hand, or at least it is for me. Than if I put it on paper. Then you sometimes have a more definite line, which I am not going for. So I hope you can see in that the details of that torn edge. It looks like old paper. If you don't want to do this step, you can leave them, unfinished on the edges. It's totally okay. Whatever you like, whatever brings you joy. Just be sure to make it your own, of course. Now you see the little paper on the side. I like to use that to help dab off some of the excess because I don't want to go on really strong the first time. You don't go on too strong on the first date, right? Little at a time, and build it up, right? So we're going to do the same here, going around, and you can do it like you did the paper and just kind of flick away. But I found if you put it on the edge and just drag it along, a little bit of that paint will come over the edge and stick to your paper. And this just gives it an outline and it gives it more of an aged look. You can also use a cotton swab if you need to get on the inside of those areas rather than a paintbrush to get in the tight spots. I do my best with the dauber to get in there, by slanting and turning it to the side. But anything else that you need to finish, just go over it with a Q-tip. All right. So once those are dry, you can start gluing those into place. Same thing here. We're just going to use the glue stick and put those down. Okay, so back to Noel. We're going to go along here and there, and I'm just going to add in the pieces. Some of them are going to hang over the edge a little bit. Fine with me. I like it. I like the extra dimension. I think it looks good that way. Think of all the different ways you could do this. You could use stickers on here also. If you don't have little vignettes, you could use stickers. You could draw something on here. You could use, maybe if you're using wrapping paper in a solid color, you could have another wrapping paper that's in a different color. And you can cut out the little figurines, like if they're Santa or deer or whatever, you can cut those out and you can put those on there. Really easy. And you see how easy it is to just go back and change that if you decide that you need your piece to fit differently. Just go in there and change it. Just go in there and pull it apart and glue it on. And then I'll leave a piece on here that is straight, just to mix it up a little bit. And so we've used antiquing wax and glue and metal and paper. And look at the difference that this little sign has already. Now this could be used as a charm. It could be used as a sign. It could be used as an ornament. If you wanted to use this in the middle of a wreath, that would be the perfect place to put it. Entirely up to you to customize this and make it your own. I absolutely love it. I've done this before on the little MDF signs that come out at Halloween, the Eek and Boo signs. Love it. They're so versatile. I mean, really do not pass these up. And they're still $1.25 the last time I saw. Okay. So we're going to let everything dry, and then up here in the top where the original hole was, we're just going to go back to that hole, and I'm going to poke it. I'm going to use my little, it's almost like an orange stick that you use on your fingernails, and then the other side has a little sandpaper on it, and I'm just going to sand that around to make the hole come back out because I want to hang it back up. I'll use jute, but you could also use baker's twine. You could also use a very thin ribbon. You could use rickrack. Think of all the different ways you could do this. So easy. So you don't have exactly the same thing I have, but you can get something similar. I bet you have something similar already. Excuse my straggly little tree. Show you that if you wanted to use it as a statement ornament, this would be really pretty. And I think that this is definitely like a woodsy Victorian, just a really pretty neutral kind of a sign. Feel free to use color though, if that's what you want to do. All right, we're going to use some pipe cleaners. I got this little metal sign from Temu. I will try to link it for you below if you'd like. Here is the measurement on that. I'll use some 1.5 inch wired fabric ribbon. I got this at the thrift store. and I love it. It's got holly on it. 2 little floral picks of your choice, and then you're going to need a swag. Now you can make your own. Mine is 36 inches long, just to give you an idea, but if you want to make your own out of Dollar Tree Christmas trees, I've done videos on that, on how you can make a swag. It's a little smaller, but you can build them up. Now mine has been in a box and it looks terrible. It's all bunched up from my move. I'm going to pull these branches apart really quick. I just want to say thank you for being here, for all those people who leave me nice comments below. It's so nice of you to take your time and to do that, to watch my videos and then to give me a comment that's supportive. It means a lot to me. So I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. So once our swag is fixed on the back and on the front, we got all those branches pulled out because we don't have curly branches on a pine tree generally. So I'm going to pull them all out flat. I'll find the placement for my 2 floral picks. This is so easy. I want to be sure that the center, as I showed just a moment ago, is where we're going to put our sign, that we want our flowers and to not obstruct. So we have plenty of room for that little sign. I'll take 1 pipe cleaner, and I just chose this brown because it matches a little bit better to the sign, so it's not as obvious. I mean, you obviously wouldn't want to use like a bright green or bright purple on this if it doesn't match the rest of it. We want it to blend in, right? If you want to use jute, you certainly can, but I like the wire because you can feed that down through the branches a lot easier. I'll set that aside, and then we're going to work on putting the floral pick down in here. So through the center of the swag is 1 long piece or stem. That's what we want to use to attach everything down to. So making that like a hairpin and then pushing it through around the stem and twisting it in the back and cutting off your excess is going to hold your flowers in place. I'm going to use 1 on each, on the stem at the bottom, like you see me doing now. And then I'll dig through there and find a piece a little bit higher and do the same process. I'll bend it like so, push it through, and then twist it on the back and then cut your excess off. Easy enough to do, right? Twist, 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 twist. Really quickly while I'm doing this, I want to say thank you again to those of you who have given me super thanks and for those of you who have bought me coffee. Yeah, this is what I do full time for a living, and all those things that you do really mean a lot to me. They don't go unseen. So thank you for that. Now everything's attached down firmly. We're going to fluff out our flower. I'm going to fluff these leaves out because these beautiful leaves are actually wired. Isn't that perfect? I don't remember where I got these picks from. Very likely, I know they didn't come from Dollar Tree for sure because quality is fantastic. It's very, very likely that I got these while I was out thrifting. I encourage you to go and get the things that you have that are in your stash, that are on another project that maybe is not your style this year. Break that stuff down, tear it apart, and use it. We're watching our pennies here. We're watching our nickels. It matters now. It really matters, and it's getting close to the end of the year, and it's holiday season, and if we want to have any little extra change to do something special for other people, then we need to be conscious of how we spend our money, right? Cautious. I can't say the word. Okay, just a little chit chat there. Now we're going to attach that down, same process, twist it down onto the little swag underneath. This came from my deer basket project that I did. Broke that down, and we're going to use that again. I like the holly because the children are holding holly, and there's holly in the picture. So I thought it would be nice to bring that back in there. And I'm going to add it here and there where I feel like it looks needed. Brings a little bit of brightness also to that darkness, which I think is very pretty. I chose the very deep colored poinsettias because they just looked more Victorian to me. And they are like a velvet type or flocked type fabric. Yeah, I think they're pretty. Have a little bit of glitter in the center, but nothing overboard. I'll tuck those here and there, and putting them on the end like this helps me extend it out. And then, of course, we're going to be adding a little bit of ribbon, but not bows. So y'all don't leave me now. I know some of you say, I don't like bows. Bows are not my thing. Don't worry. I'm going to show you something different you can use. I think it's a great way to add a little bit of something without adding a bow. So now we can add a little bit pattern into our project. I'm just going to tie that and cut off the excess jute. We're not going to see that jute, so it won't matter. And then we're going to dovetail those ends. And you can see they're kind of straight. And if you want to leave yours straight, you can, but dovetailing is very easy and it gives a pretty little flyaway look, in my opinion. You want to cut from the wired edge upward toward the center fold. And that's how you get the dovetail. I know a lot of you who follow me already know this process, but let's keep in mind, ladies and gents, that there are people here who have never been to my channel before and perhaps never even crafted before. So I want to be sure I give you all the info. You can just put them here or there. And I'm not going to put these in a symmetrical fashion. I'm just, again, just random here and there until I get the look that I like, until I am happy with it. All right, so double knots because I don't want this to come undone. Grab my scissors. I'm holding the wired side in my fingers. And then I'm cutting from the wire to the folded section upward. And that gives us those pretty little tails. And then you put your fingers inside the loop and open up that little loop. And then there we have another one. You can do as many of these as you like. I'm going to do 3 that are about the same size, and then I'll do a couple more that are a couple inches smaller. And you can press that down on those branches straight into that evergreen. You don't have to even tie that on there. So these are the ones that are a little bit smaller. And I'll do the same exact process with these. I do not have a P.O. box yet, but when I do, it's going to be linked in the description box below, okay? I really appreciate the thought and your generosity. This is what it's going to look like. And then one more little pick of holly. This came off a different branch, actually, and I'm going to put that right at the top just because I felt like I wanted to. You know how it is sometimes when you're crafting. And this is what the swag is going to look like. You can take one of the branches on the back, make a loop, twist it around on itself to make a hanger if you would like. Or you could tie any type of a hanger that you prefer on the back of your swag so that you can hang it. Oh my goodness, y'all. I wouldn't leave it in this spot, but this is just where I am filming my end screens right now. I just have it hung off of a basket in my kitchen, but my goodness, look. Aren't those babies the cutest things? And I love the holly in the picture and then what is throughout the swag. I think it is so cute. And I hope that this is something that you enjoy and might consider doing for your own home. All right, we have a Dollar Tree snowflake here. It's old. We're going to use lots of glue sticks, so get some cheap ones. Get some cheap ones for this. I have got some molds here. These are silicone molds. These are the ones we're going to use, and I'm going to show you what we'll do here. You're just going to fill these in with the glue. It is that easy. You're going to take that cheap glue and go all inside of the mold. They came from Temu. I am an affiliate with Temu, just so you know. You buy your molds wherever you like. I'm very satisfied with mine, though, and I think you will be when you see the end results here. So just going to continue along. I'm going to try to make sure I don't get any bubbles. Keep that glue gun going so that it goes down in there. It's hot and it gets into all of those little areas. I am doing this to help drop that glue down into any little spots and get the bubbles out. Choose whichever one you like on the little cameo mold and fill that in. I'm not going to use the tiniest one. I've already got some made. This is just to show you what to do. And then you want to use the same process of kind of bumping it up and down to make sure that we get all of that bubbling out and that it goes straight down into those holes. I got quite aggressive, didn't I? You want to paint those once they're dry and solid, pop them out. You're going to paint them black. I got mine black with chalk paint. You can see the glue on the back, so you know that I didn't try to cheat you and use something different. This is actual glue. Nice and smooth. They are painted solid black. And now we are going to give them a gold finish. So here's some gold paint that I have. Now this is just I think this is like a gloss paint. It really doesn't matter. You can use chalk paint, acrylic, whichever one you choose. This is the one that was on top and I like the color. So I thought, well, let's give it a shot because who knows what kind of paint you have at your house, right? So I love using metals and metallics in my projects. I'm taking a stiff brush. This is a stencil brush, putting some paint in, offloading a little bit, and then dragging it sideways. Dragging it. I want it to rake across those higher surfaces and leave all of that black down in the shadows. Do you see how the detail comes out when you do this? Absolutely gorgeous. It picks up every bit of the lovely detail that was in that mold. Love it. So this is how that looks so far. And then we'll do the same thing for the cameo. Now in the cameo, there are a couple of little spots on her face that did not, that had like a little bubble in it. So, forgive her. We're just going to pretend like the age has done it to her. We all get wrinkles and crevices and cracks and, so she's a happy girl. It doesn't matter. She's confident. That's right. She's owning it. She's loving her life, and so are we. Every one of us are, aren't we? Yes, we are. Love yourself. Love yourself. Y'all, look at the detail. Look how pretty she is. She's so cute. I absolutely adore her. Put those aside, let them dry. You want to cut off that hanger off, and then I'll grab that same gold paint. I've just got a bigger brush here. This is very thin paint, by the way. And I'm going to go up and down with my little chippy brush and drag it across. There is glitter already on this, like it's coated in glitter. Using a big brush like this, I can push that down into there, cover up all that glitter. And it kind of locks it in also, so it doesn't shed. And you're going to want to do both sides of your snowflake and then let that dry. Doesn't really matter which type of snowflake you use, but it needs to have enough substance that you can glue something down to it. Okay? So then I started thinking, you know what? I want to add a little bit more gold. So I just grabbed a thin brush here, and I'm going to go right on that inner ring with the gold, and I'm glad I did. This really makes it pop once we get our cameo positioned in the middle. This really, I like this better, but you can do yours however you want. I see there was a little hole there. I just filled it up with a little bit of paint. Simple. It'll seep down in there, and it'll dry, and you won't even see that little bubble. Because even with all that plopping around we did, sometimes you still get bubbles. I've added hot glue to the back. Make sure that the hole is oriented to the top so you can place this down. A little bit of hot glue, and I am pushing it down on that snowflake to hold it in place. You don't want to use too much hot glue because this is hot glue and you don't want to deform anything, right? Just enough to hold it. Pressing it and pressing it. And this is what that looks like so far. And then we're going to add a little glue on the inside. Put her in there, and then you have a second to kind of slide it around to get it exactly where you want it. Look at this. Oh my word. So she has a little, almost like a rosette or something, either on her dress or in her hand. It's almost like she's presenting her shoulder, sort of in the way she's standing. So I thought I would just hit that with a little bit of gold to bring that out. Just my own personal taste. And then if you see any spots that you want to lighten up a little bit more, you can certainly do that. If you don't want to use the black in the background, use some type of a chalk paint in the background, and then your paint that you use on top, whatever metallic, is going to work much better sticking to that hot glue surface. I don't have any gold wire, but I thought I have wired ribbon. So we're going to cut that wire off the side of this red ribbon. And I'm just putting my scissors on there and pretty much gliding it along, and it will cut through it. So then we have a little wired piece, which we can feed through the hole in the top and make our own little ornament holder to make a topping for your piece. Protect your fingers. I've got finger protectors, but of course I'm not wearing them because I'm in a hurry. You know. Then who am I going to blame if I burn myself? Nobody but my darn self. That's right. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, those of you who've burned your fingers. Look at this. Oh my goodness, I love it. But this, chef's kiss. I adore this. Maybe the little dot on her face is a beauty mark. Maybe it is. My daughter has a beauty mark on her face. I hope that you like this little ornament as much as I do, and you could do a bunch of these. We're going to use some wood tint and walnut, I do believe. Brushes,
sponge brush and regular brush. I'm going to use some more of the same gold paint because we're not going to go spend extra money. These are some holly leaves and berries I thrifted. You could probably find something similar at Dollar Tree. Some good sharp cutting scissors, some foam block adhesives, stickers, a card or a postcard, and then this wood piece I got from Temu. These are the measurements on here. I've bought wood pieces from Temu before, and they are wonderful. Absolutely love them. So we're going to apply first all of that wood tint. This is not an antiquing wax. It's an actual tint, or it's like a stain, but it's washable, so you can get it off of your hands. You don't destroy your surface, which makes it fantastic. It has a little bit of a smell, but it's nothing terrible. So I'm going to go over this. I'm going to use this long, stiff type chippy brush because it can get down in all those little cracks and surfaces. If you can't get in all those areas with the brush that you choose, go back in with another brush that's a little bit smaller to get in all those areas on the inside. I'm going to do the whole entire surface, and then if you want to do your back, you can. We're going to wipe back the excess according to the time given on the bottle. So you apply it, you wait a certain amount of time, and then you're going to grab a cloth, and I just have some canvas here that I have torn into pieces for craft projects. And I'm going to wipe back all of the excess that's on there. No need to dig, no need to get down in all the cracks, because the purpose is for the darker areas to stay in the darker areas. Would you look at the difference in this piece of wood than how it started? Oh my goodness, it's absolutely stunning. I'm going to go ahead and hit this with a little bit of heat just to help dry it and get it a little quicker, get it dried quickly. And you can see the color change, pretty much while you're doing this. It's going to get a little bit lighter. I'm just spinning this around as I'm putting a stream of heat on it and turning it. I also have a gray wood tint, but the walnut is my go-to, definitely, because I love that darkness. I think it's great for Victorian. So we're going to use the same thing here. We're going to grab that brush and we're going to dip it in a little bit of that gold, and I just kind of push it up into the bristles by popping it up and down, and then start dragging it all over the piece. So the lighter areas that are on here that we wiped back a little bit of that color is going to catch hold of that gold and give you a very subtle gold look on top of this. If you like it heavier, then use a heavier hand. But I think it is perfect just like this. That looks beautifully aged. Yes, aged with grace. All right, so I'm going to take my little card, and you can get cards at Dollar Tree. I think some cards at Dollar Tree are like 50 cents. And I'm going to cut my Santa out. But for this particular one, I love the idea that his hand is kind of holding outward, like he's reaching for the phone, because we're going to do something special with that. So be sure that you are using good scissors. Take your time and cut your pieces out. This was a really easy one because it didn't have a lot of detail around Santa to have to whittle with, so I didn't even have to get my tiny scissors out. Another way to sort of antique or age your pictures is to use a little bit of that same little wood stain. I'm going to use it on a foam brush if you don't have a finger dauber, and I'm going to go all around Santa. It makes it really pop. Cards and cardstock and these printed pieces are done on paper, and it's usually right on the surface, so you can see white on the outside, which it takes away from the aged look, I think. So we're going to add that back just like that. I'm going to put him aside and let him dry, of course. And then I'll use my little foam sticker. The foam sticker is to give it a little elevation off of the plaque that we're going to put it on. And it just gives it a little more dimension and shadow. And I've always enjoyed that look. If you've watched my videos, you know I use these things a lot. If you don't have these little stickers, you can use something like one of those cheap Dollar Tree toy blocks, like the little Jenga blocks, the knockoff. You can use that, and that'll work great for you too. I have some of this that's vintage, and then I found this at Walmart a couple years ago. It is not vintage, but it is like a replica. It is so good. I'm going to only use the gold. If you wanted to use all the colors, you can. I'm going to make a little hanger for this. You don't even have to have a hanger if you don't want to. If you want to put this on a tree branch, you can just put it right on the branch. So I'm going to just put this through that loop in the top. and pull that through, and that's going to give us a little hanger that we can put on our tree, or we can make it longer and it can be a charm that you can hang off of a bottle. You can hang off of your hook if you bought those during the time when farmhouse was really big. If you have those boards, like a hanging board that has the pegs on it, this would be really cute there too. You can hang it in your kitchen or just wherever you like. These are wired, so I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue, and I spread those out just a little bit, and I'm going to put it right to the back of the card to hold it up to his hand, almost looking like he's holding that holly in his hand. How adorable. And then, just to balance it out, I thought maybe I would put some down here on the ground behind him. So I'll add hot glue and just glue that right down to the bottom part. And if you get glue strings, just get your strings off there, make it look nice and pretty. Yep, I like the way that looks. Easy to do, very elegant and old world, Victorian. It's just beautiful. I love this. All right, so we're going to take this little statement piece or this little sign here from the Dollar Tree. Here's your information on that. I'll use some E6000 and hot glue, of course. I'm going to need a bunch of little clamps to help hold things. Little rubber spatula or something to, protect your hands when you're putting down glues. So this came off of a pumpkin craft that I did a few years ago. It's a beautiful piece of leather that I thrifted, and I thought, well, it's not real leather, obviously. And I thought this is going to be perfect, especially if you like that old world look, the Ralph Lauren look. This would be really good, a really good way to fit that in. You can just use a scrap of leather that maybe like even an old cheap purse. Maybe you could take a bag, and cut it to use it. But you can also get rolls of the fake leather at Dollar Tree in a couple of different colors. So I thought I would use the dark brown here that I already have. Glad to be able to use it again in another project. So for like old world, I guess what they're calling old world, old money, the Ralph Lauren trend that's going around. A lot of use of leather, brasses, golds, deep greens, deep reds, greenery, and things like that. It just gives it a little bit of beauty and charm. It's really a pretty look. I mean, I may actually do my Christmas tree in this look this year. We shall see. I do a lot of crafts that I never use. I just don't. Because I can't use everything I make. So don't feel obligated to make everything I make. Okay? Please don't. Watch the videos. Oh yes, you can love me and support me that way. But you certainly don't need a house full or garage full of junk that you never use. So just choose the ones that you really like and you have the materials for. All right, I'm using a little white marker here so I can, obviously it's not very dark, but it does show up enough in contrast to that black backing that I can trace out. And I want this to be at least, I don't know, a half of an inch maybe bigger than the sign itself. So I just kind of eyeballed it and went around. You don't have to be exactly precise with it. The idea is to have enough that it fits on the top and that you can also overlap it and glue it down, because this is how we're going to attach it to the piece. And then you can use your utility knife or some little scissors to cut in these smaller spaces to clean these areas out so that you can actually see the letter O and the Y. And then you can get in there with little scissors and trim off the rest of the way. It's really not that difficult, just takes a moment. Now I'm going to use some E6000. It takes a while for this to dry so I can put this down here. I'm giving it a shot. This is sort of a slightly porous faux leather material here, but obviously, follow your glue instructions and decide what's going to be best for the materials that you use, because lots of adhesives are different. My boyfriend, he's given me lots of information about chemical compounds and what might work a little bit better as far as adhesives and stuff like that for projects. So I do turn to him for that. So I'm also going to do one end and then go up to the other end, because I want to make sure that I have enough on there that I'm not pulled it up too high when I'm maneuvering it around and getting it out of order. then I wouldn't be able to get it to fit back on top like it should. In the corners, I found the best way to treat those is to cut straight into them. And then you don't have to worry about that bulk in the corner that just is going to just destroy the wording on your on the statement piece. Why did I call it a statement piece? You can use this as a large ornament in your tree. You can do several of these. You could use this as a center in a wreath or on a wreath if you wanted to. You could hang it off your door and just use it as a sign by itself. So what do I mean by statement piece is just that, it's a standout piece that you can make work any way you want to. Okay, so hot glue will help hold that in place until my E6000 dries. That's why you see all the clamps. We're going to continue around and do the entire thing like this. Give it some time to dry, and then we're going to work on the middle pieces here. And we're going to do the cutouts for the Y and the O. We had already pre-cut, but now we're going to go ahead and cut it down and get that out of there, make it nice and crispy. Do y'all ever buy these signs? I know they're in Dollar Tree for lots of different holidays and seasons, and I just wonder, does everybody else use these? Have you ever thought about using these? Now that the galvanized theme there with farmhouse is not what it used to be, or industrial, or whatever, whatever you want to say that metals go with. I wonder, do you use these? Do you paint them? Do you decoupage on them? Because if you're not, you might be missing out. Now you can see how I clipped and folded those over on the ends of the O. This just makes it neat and gives me another space for it to attach down to this metal backing and look like it belongs there. Now, right on the inside, I'm going to grab this little pick tool that came from Dollar Tree and just use it to kind of smear in a little bit of that glue right on the inside. If you're going to use the hot glue on the outside where the leather is, there's a very good chance that you are going to have bubbles and lines, and it's going to look like veining under there. Might not be what you want to go for, but that's totally up to you. Totally up to you. And I'll do the same thing here. I'm just going to go around. And yes, I see my metal right here. And I see the metal down there where I, just couldn't cut it precise enough. And that is so easy to fix. You're just going to grab some brown, and it's close enough of a color as you can to what you're working with. Cover it up. We just patch it. Let that dry. Add a little bit more if you need to. And it just takes the shine off of it so it blends in a little bit better. Or you can just wait and you can do this step. Or with me, I'm going to take some of this job of chalk paint and I'm going to mix it and stick it over here. I didn't want to use the antiquing wax on the leather because from what I've read, antiquing wax does not work well on those types of materials. So I'm not even giving it a shot. We're just going to try it with paint. So to the Java, I'm adding a little bit of ink and I'm going to make this a little bit darker because it does lighten up once it dries down. Okay, so I'm going to go into here with a little sponge brush, and we're just going to use this to bump all of the edges around here and give us a little more detail. This makes this look like an older leather. It maybe looks like it was ironed or pressed down and pressed through when it was made. I don't know all the exact terminology for how you work with leather, but you get the point. You use leather punches and things like that, right? But you see the difference that makes? It gives it a very finished, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I like all of my stuff with a nice little finished and a little extra dimension to it. It is just my taste. If you want your O and your Y to stand out a little more, to make it a little more clear about your word, you just go in there and do this. If you are interested in the things that I'm showing you, I would love a thumbs up to tell me that you are enjoying it. Now I'm just showing you, if you need to lay it down to do it, and you don't want to do it free-handed, you can. You can just push it down there and put something underneath it to protect your surface and go around the edges. And that will cover it up and that will stand out. You can wipe this back fairly easily if you want. It's such a light coat on there, it dries quickly anyway. To finish the back of your project, you can take some crafting paper from Dollar Tree or wherever you get your crafting paper from. You can even save the paper that they send your Amazon packages in. Yeah, you can use those again. Just iron them out and use them. I'm going to cut this out, and I want this to be cut right on the inside of the lines because this needs to be a little bit smaller. It's going to go on the back and cover up the rest of that metal and cover up all the edges where we glued down the leather. This is just going to give it a neater appearance. A lot of people say, well, you can't sell things if you don't complete the project. Yeah, you're right. If you want to sell it, you need to finish the back for sure. I don't sell my stuff. Not an issue for me. But I'm showing you how to do it. Easy enough. Make sure that it is going to match up where it needs to be, and then you can just start gluing it down. Now, this on the back doesn't matter if you use hot glue. Nobody's going to see the back, and you're pressing something on top of it. It's going to be totally okay. And just be sure you clean up your glue if any of it squishes out. Trim up if you need to trim up any more. And then give it some time for everything to set up and dry, and then we're going to think about how we can embellish this. Look at this beautiful ribbon. Now, it says give trim, but I'm using it in crafts because I like to use things, if I can get it cheaper, I'm going to get it. And I'll use it for whatever I find a use to get it for. I'll find a craft to put it in. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't sound like I know what I'm saying, but I do. I promise you I'll do that. Now, I'm just going to make a really easy bow with this. I think it says 1-inch trim. Very pretty velvety material, very rich in that deep, beautiful green that I was referring to for the Old Money in the Ralph Lauren. And I'm going to pinch it up, take a little scrap piece of gold cord that I have, and tie it in the middle. We can't all go out and buy brand new stuff all the time, but we can change some of the things we have and still have a beautiful look and feel a little trendy or, whatever you like there. I'm just going to cut up a couple of pieces so I can add greenery, make it look pretty. And these are just pieces that were thrifted. I know I want my little bow to go right between the J and the O so that it almost looks like the O is a little wreath. Little bit of hot glue. Protect your fingers, y'all. Don't forget, protect your fingers. And then I'll add some hot glue here. I can do this on top of the leather where the leather is not going to be showing, right? You can't see it, so that's not going to be a problem. It's when you're going to see it, you want to be real careful about it. And for me, I just like to kind of look at it and figure out where I'd like another leaf or where can I put it where it won't obstruct the view but still look nice and blend well. Give it just a little something extra with the berries. Same pick that the ivy leaves came from. These all came off the same pick. And by breaking this larger pick apart into pieces, I'll be able to make more crafts. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, please do so. If you're watching, I need you to know how important you are to me. I really, really do. And I can tell you in the comments all the time, and I can tell you in the videos, and I can encourage you. And that's what I want to do here. So if I'm being repetitive about that, it's only because I'm genuine, and I really do care about y'all. All right, so there we go. And if you wanted to add, gold berries, you could certainly do that, kind of make it a little richer. And these are sort of a platinum, very pretty. But now we have a hanger on the back, and this one is good to go for whatever you want to use it for. This is just a little vase that I already had. I'm not sure where it came from, but I'm almost definite it was thrifted. You can see the size of it if you wanted to use it. You can also use a jar for this idea. I'm going to use a little bit of this beautiful ribbon. I could also use some cording like this. I am going to wrap this ribbon around here and decide how much I need to band it. This is the easiest craft in the whole universe. And I have to tell you, I like to welcome everybody in this channel. So if you're new here, this is something you're going to find very encouraging. Get you on your craft journey. Give you easy things and explain things. So with the wired ribbon, if we don't need the wire, we just pull it out of there. And I don't need it. It's giving me too much structure, and I need a little more floppy or flimsy in here to make it go down on this surface. This is not a completely round. It's got sort of a smaller bottom than it does underneath the rim. The top rim is the widest part. And so I'm going to do my best to line these up and make these look like they fit perfectly on here. This thicker ribbon is going to do that for me. Y'all, the ribbon, I'm pretty sure was a thrift find. It's beautiful though, and it's thick. It's got that gold on the back. Oh, it's so pretty. And then just to make it look nice, you can use a little hot glue and press it in place. Now I could have spray painted the bottom of that gold if I wanted to, most definitely. But you can use any color you like right here, or you can leave it plain, or you can wrap it with a ribbon. So if you want to leave it white, you can put buttons on it. You can put little bobs on it, but I just thought, no, it was bothering me. So I removed my ribbon and I'm going in here with some of this holly green paint. And this is not chalk paint, so it's going to take more than one coat. I did not have a green in this color, so I'm just going to use this. I'm going to go all the way around here. You don't have to be super neat. My first layer, I just do little wispy, just like this. And then when I go back over, I'll get the sponge and I'll use the sponge with the green paint to kind of make it have a more solid, less translucent appearance. I wanted it to be solid. So I'm just drying it here. I'm showing you it makes it really, really easy to do. There's the bottom now. And no, it's not perfect. You're not going to see very much of it, so don't sweat it. Do not sweat it. Again, I'm going to put my ribbon back on there. So if you do something and you're not completely satisfied with it, it's just a little bit of hot glue. Pull it off and start over. If you don't like the paint it. All right, so I'm going to put that back down. Same process again. I'm going to make sure that I line it up, make it pretty, fold it over in the back. And so this is what the little vase will look like. For the greenery, I'm going to use a pick that I got from Ollie's. Go to your Ollie's and check it out, see what they've got. They have wreaths and swags and all kinds of mess. Really nice. All right, so I'm just using pillow batting here because I thought, you know what, we'll just make this look like snow, and it'll also give me something light and loose that I can hold my little picks into, because otherwise you're just shoving the picks in there. You can see the wire, you can see the picks, and they want to flop out. This is going to help give them something to grab onto. And it looks like snow, so I think it works. So I'm grabbing little pieces here, placing those down, and then once you get enough in there, they're going to start supporting one another, just like trees do outside in the woods. Their canopies connect, they intertwine, they reach for the stars together, or the sun, whichever. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to let them stack and get on top of one another and hold one another up, give it just a little bit of a bend here and there. This is really pretty greenery, very well made greenery too. But you can use anything you want in yours. Again, this goes back to the rich greenery and that beautiful, it's just a richer look, especially when you start adding the reds and the blues and the greens, such pretty colors. And you can use whatever type of ribbon you want also. Just, sort of, if you're going to try to stay in the theme, just make sure that you're using the colors that kind of qualify it as being old money style. And this is what she will look like. Okay, so here's the pine cone that I thrifted that was already painted. So you can get a pine cone, clean it, and spray paint it yourself. You can use ribbons to adorn the top. You can use cording like this if you wanted to adorn the top. But I thought, let's use some of this vintage rickrack that I have here. I found at the thrift store. Here's some measurements in case you're wondering. Just to get the scale right, I'm going to cut off about a foot of this. Fold it over on itself, and that may be about 14 inches. Doesn't matter, just depends on how long you want your hanger to be. If you put your ornaments really close to the branch, then you can make short hangers. Totally up to you. I know I say that a lot, but it really is. Crafting is totally up for you. It's totally up to you. And I'm grateful that you come here and you watch me and you listen to me talk and you choose to spend your time with me. Very grateful. So I'm just going to tie this on. It's pretty strong to be old, It's hanging in there, but I also know not to overdo it. It doesn't need to hold up a house. It just needs to hold a pine cone, right? I'll add a little bit of hot glue also on there. That's just going to help hold it and keep it from slipping off. Although the stem was a little bit notchy, so it kind of catches on that naturally. If you wanted to do that all over your tree as a very simple thing, you could totally do that. And I'm going to add a bow. Got some of this beautiful, this is some more of that gift trim stuff, I guess, but it's smaller. And I'm just going to make a very simple little bow for this. I know I want to leave it a little bit long, so I get that flop factor that we're seeing a lot in the decor. Put it here. This definitely would fit into the whole Ralph Lauren thing. For sure, that beautiful deep green and the gold that is still nature inspired. If you don't have velvet, you don't have to. Satin ribbon would be beautiful here as well. Nice, deep, rich colors. So you can add on little berries, little holly leaves. You can add pieces of fir or evergreen or any scraps that you have if you want to. If you want to add some mini poinsettias, you could do that as well. I'm just going to put a little bit up here on the top for those of you who like the little something extra. Some don't, and that's okay, but some do appreciate the little extra. So there he is, pretty, pretty. I'm ready to go on your tree. And see, it took no time, and you could do several of these with a can of spray paint and be ready to decorate in no time. All right, I've got some burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree in a green, some more of this beautiful ribbon. And I have got some of these that I found at the thrift store. They're so pretty. They're like a velvety, they're not flocked, I don't think, but it's just a really soft, like a suede feel. I've got some more of these picks. See, Bloom, I paid $2.99. Here is a natural wreath that I have had for quite some time. I've used it several times in crafting. It is about 18 inches long and about 17 inches wide. So we have an oval. I like it long ways like this. We're going to take a pick apart. These just slide in. They're like papered in. If you don't have the type that slide in, just get your cutters and just cut those off. You want enough stem in there that you can weave into the vining that's used on here. If you don't give it a little bit of bend, it might try to push out of the back side. Just leave a little bit of stem there. And you can add some hot glue on the end when you put these in to make them more permanent. If you want to change it out, you don't have to. This will hold it tightly if you get this type. And it's going to stay fine if you're using it inside of the house. But obviously, if you're putting it outside, let's put it in a covered area with some really good quality glue. And it'll stay together. I think this is not only a pretty wreath for Christmas, but also very pretty for winter. There's nothing on here that's just going to scream out that it came, that it's a Christmas wreath, so you could certainly leave it. Now I've got 3 here and 3 sort of toward the bottom, but you can see we're working with the bottom. See, if you cut this thing into quarters, we're down there in the 1, 2, 3rd quarter. So we're in the 3rd quarter of the wreath right there. I'm making sure that I kind of put these pieces in where my pine cones are not, I don't want it to be too top heavy with too many pine cones on the top, not enough on the bottom, or everything in one area. I want to mimic what a branch would look like on a tree. And that's what I'm doing in the wreath. I want it to give it, a natural look. So far, so good, and I'm not having to glue anything in yet. The pine cones are wired, so you can bend those around. You just have to be careful that you don't shatter your pine cone because they will fall apart and squish if you're not careful. These are going to be cut way down because they have massive stems. And then I will use these on top of the greenery. So if you want to use more greenery, you can. If you want to use less, you can use less. I think I'm stating the obvious, I feel like. Always, when you have florals, be sure that you are spreading those pieces apart and you are opening them up and give them a little perk, a little life, because they get flattened out and when they're in storage. And when they're in the store, they don't always fluff them out to make them as beautiful as they potentially could be. Pressing them into place and then opening that up. And you can even tuck some of the leaves behind the pine cones or bring some of your greenery up through the leaves. Whatever you feel like you want to do there to make it look more realistic to you. Here's how you add hot glue. At the other house, I had an actual dish, like a little crock pot looking thing that you put your glue in for making wreaths, but I couldn't find it when I moved, so I guess I left it or accidentally put it with the donation stuff, which is great for somebody because they got a brand new piece of equipment to use, right? Yeah, somebody's probably very excited, so maybe it did end up being thrifted. So the leaves we could definitely still use that came with the poinsettias, and we'll just poke those in there, here and there, where it looks like it makes a little bit of sense, since it's close to the flowers where it would have come from originally. They were kind of falling off, starting to like break away. I don't know if I was too rough with them when I had them, when I used them last or what, but they were kind of falling apart, and they could just be old. Sometimes that happens too. It's the sad thing when I can't recycle something. It's a real sad thing. All right, so right here is where we're going to make a bow. If you don't want a bow, just go ahead and fill that up with poinsettias. You don't have to. But it's Christmas time, y'all. We want bows at Christmas time. And the traditional look, you're going to have some bows on some things. So I'm just showing you how we're going to use 36 inches. Ugh, stunning. I don't know that I've ever really had this quality of ribbon, nor would I purchase it full price. So you're going to make your loops. They're going to be about 7 inches long if you're following what I am doing here. You just cross that over and then pinch it together, and then you can pull down the tails. I'm going to use a clamp just to hold that in place. And we're going to do another one just like that, but we're going to do it with the green burlap. Now, would I normally use burlap for this theme? I would not, but I didn't have the ribbon I needed, and I'm saving money, y'all. I'm saving money. I got a mortgage to pay now, right? Y'all just imagine this as beautiful green velvet in a 2-inch ribbon. That would be gorgeous. You're going to probably need some wire, though, because this is the type that you have to wire. But you have to bend and flex, and you don't want it to be floppy. So I just decided to use a zip tie here because, do that sometimes. Y'all, look at can you tell I use costume jewelry? Look at my ring. That ring has seen better days, but I absolutely love it. I love it. It's tarnished, though. I could probably fix that myself. Do y'all ever fix your own, costume jewelry? Do you repair it and keep it, or you chunk it and start over? I mean, it's not like I paid a fortune for it. Okay, so then I'm going to take my loops and fluff those out. You can fluff it out where they're right on top of one another. You can do it in an upcoming video. I'm going to show you how you do it when you double the ribbon up and you have them together and you bind them together at the same time rather than one at a time. You'll see. I'm going to cut these as slants. I'm not doing dovetails in this, but it's totally up to you if you want to do that. You can attach this down to this any way that you want to. If you want to use a piece of ribbon, you can do that. And I thought, you know what? I've got these little pieces over here. I use them sometimes with wreath making. I'm going to twist this around here, and we'll use this to cover up my tie and attach it right on down. If you're not a vigorous fluffer of bows, then you might not need to have to worry about putting anything as tight as a zip tie in there. This might actually work by itself for you. But I get really rough with my bows trying to make them do the right thing. They just don't listen. Sometimes they don't listen. So I'm just showing you. You can, if you like the look of it, you can kind of feed those through there and put them together. Leave them together as a clump if you want. Spread them out, cut them shorter, or even make them longer. Okay, so to add a little bit of gold warmth, I decided to grab some of these tiny ornaments, and you can get the ones at Dollar Tree that are small. These are just some that I already had, and they're little glass ornaments. And I'm going to add a little bit of glue and just put those here and there. I think there were 5 of them, so some of them are rather hidden, and some of them are easy to see. And I think that just looks so much better now with that bow with the gold in it. It really just brought that richness up to really sell that old money style, in my opinion. And this is what that beautiful wreath is going to look like. I really hope you like it. We're going to start off with a variety of ribbons. I've just pulled out some vintage ribbon I had because I think I will use these. They're thrifted. I've used them for years, and I still have some left. I'm so excited. I'm going to use some of these little corners. I got those from Temu. And this is a board that I used for Halloween that I got from Dollar Tree. It's one of those meal plan lists that you can get with picture frames. Here are the measurements. I've got some ivory chalk paint. and also some Java chalk paint. I wanted to show you what happens. Even if glue is dry and you strip it off, look at this already. Look in here. Look at it. You see what it's doing? It's crackling all by itself. It's interrupting that, and look at this. And at first I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to scrape it all off, clean off all of that. And I thought, nope, this is vintage. This is Victorian. Perhaps it is very old. So we're gonna go with it. Here's my first layer, and I'm gonna dry it. And as I use my heat tool on here to dry this, I continue around and be careful to keep your tool moving, because if you don't, then you can burn it and make scorch marks on that white. So then I went over it with another coat to make it look even more chunky, even more like it had been painted a million times. And I absolutely love it. We're gonna go with it. You don't like it? Don't worry about it. Yours won't do this if you don't have anything underneath, okay? Now I'm going to go around my frame. I knew I was going to paint it, so it didn't matter if I made a mess on it. I started off with a foam brush because I thought, okay, this will be good to put this on here. Wrong. I'm using the brush to go in a sideways motion here, and this is to keep that paint off of the white that I just put down, or the ivory I just put down. And you can see here that even the lumps and bumps that were there before from the paint that I added on there is showing up on here. Now, don't be too concerned about this going to dry down matte. That's what chalk paint does. It's going to be very flat looking, and it's not going to be a problem. We're also going to do a little bit of aging treatment on here, so stay tuned. And I will show you how we're going to make this look a little more vintage and Victorian and traditional. After we do the whole thing, we're going to let that dry. And I had a little bit on the side there. Be sure you get your sides also. And then I'm going to take these little, I think these are photo corners. Sort of like the ones you would see in photo albums, for those of you who are old enough to know what that is. And you could put your picture in there and it would hold it in place. But I love to use them as adornments on pieces that I do. I think it's very pretty, and it richens up something that, you know, if it comes from Dollar Tree, doesn't give you the best elegant look. And we just want to make it look a little more elegant. And we can do that, I think, by covering up those corners just like this. Let that dry completely. Of course, the glue needs to dry. Antiquing wax, of course. A little bit on the brush, and I'm going to get most of it off. Showing you here how much. I just barely have a smudge left on there. And then I'll just take that into each of the corners and then around the edges also. I am always trying to show you techniques that I know that you can do and encourage you as you go along to make it your own. So come on and join us. Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss out on notifications and you don't miss out on any new videos. So here you can see I just kind of rounded the corners. Here's a better look at that ribbon. I have two that look kind of frilly and two that are sort of flat or chain-like. In order to get my Christmas tree shape, to make it easier, I thought, I would just use a piece of paper, and I'm just using the one I already hit out. I could have used any type of scrap or whatever to make a triangle shape to make a tree, but I just used this one because it was out and available. There's 9 more sheets of this, so nobody worry. Nobody worry. It's okay. I decided it was too wide, so I wanted to cut it down a little bit, and I'm going to make it a little more narrow. And I know that this is going to fit inside my frame. It's going to give me room to put the trunk of the tree. So we're going to just make it easier on ourselves, I think, by just gluing this all down on this form. And then we won't have to worry about putting it down on the sign until we're completely done. Now, preference, use whatever kind of ribbon you have. If you don't have vintage ribbon, you don't have to. If you want to use lace, you can use lace. But if you're going to use some type of a decorative ribbon, all you're doing is really creating stripes. And for me, I'm just using a pattern, a very simple pattern. I know that I want to have a straight one with the edge, a straight one, and then one with the edge. So I'm just sort of alternating. So I'm continuing along, and I want to make sure that I'm putting the glue in an area where it's the thickest part of that ribbon. So up there where the glue is, where the color is, it's like a thicker, wider strip, rather than trying to glue down the little gold edging that's on there. If you need to pre-line your paper to draw your lines to make sure you don't get crooked, you can do that. Here's the pattern. And then I'm just going to continue along, and I'll do this all the way up to the top. I lay it down first to make sure that I have enough to go over. The reason I'm leaving excess on the sides is because I want to show you an option that you can do if you don't want to do it the way I did it. So that's why mine's a little bit longer right now, but I'll show you shortly what we're going to do, or what an option could be for you. Follow your pattern all the way up. The reason we start at the bottom is because we want the pieces above it to overlap slightly on top of it. Does that make sense? That's how we're going to do it. That's what we want to do. So I'm going to go up to the top and get as close as I can to the top of it, continuing my layers and my pattern all the way up. And it looks like I'm going to have a little bit of this beautiful purple or lavender, lilac, right up there on the top. You'll be seeing these ribbons again at Easter, so get ready. All right. Now, when you flip it over, this is what it looks like. And if you would like, you can take your edges and you can curl them under or over just like that. But a little trick, I just started doing this today because I thought, if I add glue to the edge of the paper and the ribbon, that's going to keep it from fraying too. And it is held up, y'all. It is held up. So I'm just kind of squeezing a little down and then rubbing it into the edge of the paper and into the edge of the ribbon to keep this from fraying. You get the idea? Almost like a very, very tight zigzag or smudging. I'm going to do the same thing right on the bottom edge. Everything's going to be nice and neat. And then you can grab your scissors and trim this off. Now, when you trim it off, be sure that you are leaving your glue line. So go right to the other side of that glue line. That's why you need it to be nice and tight when you put that on there. You don't want a big, bulky, wide 1-inch strip of glue. We don't want to do that. And now I'm just cutting up to that line. I'm taking my time, being very careful, and going up to that line. This is going to give me a nice clean edge for my tree. I want you to feel inspired today. If you came by this video because somebody recommended it to you, or it was in recommendations, or it just popped up after somebody else's video went off, then I appreciate you being here, and I hope that you walk away from this feeling inspired. Oh my goodness. And I love the dark wood with this. I think it's so pretty and so vintage looking. We need a trunk for our tree. So, of course, options. You can use the little logs or the little wood pieces that you get out of the building block set. Don't wax the back because we're going to be gluing it. In order to try to get an idea of where the center might be, if you measure, I don't, is to use your ruler and then get that mark, which is what I did, and decide how you want to place your tree on the top. Now, once I get the tree where I want it, I won't lift it all the way up. I'll add some glue to the paper on the back and press it down. And that way everything stays in place exactly where we want it. You can see here I'm just kind of following the triangle around. Don't get too close to your edges. You don't want that to be any messy glue showing. Try to keep it on the inside, about 1/2 inch inside, approximately. And yeah, I don't like that. I decided it didn't look good with that. It just didn't look good at all. So I grabbed some of these twigs that you can get at Dollar Tree in the bags. And I wanted to cut one in half. Y'all, look at this. This is a miter cutter or a miter shear. Watch what it does to this. Right in half. Well, not exact measurements, but you get it. That was my fault. And it makes the perfect little tree stump. You can do this with a stick out of your yard also if you would like. You can use some beads there. You could use anything you want to make the trunk for your tree. Or you can just leave it without one and put it all the way at the bottom. Now, these are a little bronzy. I want to brighten them up with a little bit of gold. So I'm taking some antique gold wax. This is my rub and buff that I've been using lately and been obsessed with. You can see the difference between the right and the left when you polish it. When you put a little bit of that gold in there, it really, really pops. And I think for the festivities that go along with the holidays, it just gives it such a pretty look. Plus there's gold and that trim on the tree. I'll take a tiny, tiny smudge of this and go around the edges of this frame, all the way around the edges and then on the inside edges as well, just so that we're consistent all the way through the piece. And then we need a star or an angel for our tree. I didn't have an angel, so I dug in my little box of goodies. I got all kinds of little extras and bobs and things like that in here. And I'm going to find the one little star I knew I had. She's beautiful. I'm going to put it right there on the top. It is barely noticeable, but it is iridescent, and I think it's so pretty with the pastels on this tree. Look how I'm going to fix my corners. A little bit of hot glue and push those pieces together. Give it just a bit of a better shape. Perfect. And this is my version of the ribbon Christmas tree, and I hope that you like it. It's really more of a trim than than a lace, of course, but I think it's a good take on it. Joy sign that I've thrifted and I've had for a while. You can see here, it looks like it might have been from Target. I'm going to take my part off of the back. This is like an MDF or something. It's not real wood. It's got a wood piece on the front, and then the back is all MDF. So you wouldn't want to spray this down and get it wet necessarily to take off your sticker. So that's why I'm showing you that I'm scraping it off. Now this I found at Ollie's. They had a closeout sale and had a bunch of this American craft, I think is what it's called. Lots of craft supplies. So I got this piece of paper for $1. I love it. It looks like gold leafing to me, and it also almost has like a leather type look, which I think is great for the traditional and maybe perhaps even your Ralph Lauren decor. I think it all kind of blends in there anyway with traditional. So I'm just using a marker and I'm going to roughly trace around. I'm trying to keep it close to the lettering, but I do make a little bit of a mess, but I can fix that with the scissors. I know where the straight lines ought to be, all right? We're also going to cut out the center of the O for joy. And this is what we have. And then I'm going to take my scissors. Now, when you do this, when you trace, you're going outside of the actual shape, which adds size, right? So in order to cut back on a little bit of that size, I like to go on the inside of my ink line, and that usually works best. So I'm going to trim it all off and get some good scissors, get something that you can kind of work with. Now, y'all, if you don't have the joy sign that I have here in your stash already, you can get MDF types of signs from Dollar Tree all the time at different holidays, at different seasons. You can just use one of those. To cut the center, I'm going to go where my circle is and make a X. Just cut it like we're cutting a pie or a pizza into 4 pieces. Go all the way to my mark right there. And then I have room now to get my scissors in there and to cut out the inside of that O. You don't have to be ultra precise with this because we are going to trim this down after it is all glued together. Trimming along. And then, of course, I saved all those little pieces. Okay, so there's joy. What brings you joy today? Why don't you put that in the comments for me? I would love to know. I'm going to use my Type Bond Quick and Thick because the top is glue and not glue, is like a wood veneer or something, and then this is like a fabric-y type paper. It's really weird. The texture is weird. It's kind of foamy like on the back, but I thought, you know what, we're going to give it a try because I love this glue. I'm going to wipe off any of the excess here, and if you get too much, just put it back in the bottle. I mean, that's probably not recommended to everybody, but that's what I do, and it works for me. Never had a problem doing that. I got a good even coat on there. Now I'm going to take my word and I'm going to put it on top, and then I'm gently just going to take this little tool, and this is for vinyl and stuff like that. I'm going to use this and make sure that it is pressed all the way down. I'm not going crazy and pushing it too hard. It just needs to cling to that fabric that's on the back, or that foamy stuff that's on the back. Going to let it dry overnight. This is it, dry it overnight. Look at that. Look at it. So now I'm going to take my cutting mat, turn it over. I'll grab a utility knife. Excuse my head. I had to cut segments out because I kept sticking my face in the way, trying to get above my project. I'm going to trim off anything extra, take off all that excess edging, and make it nice and neat, tight, and beautiful. My head right in the way. If there comes a piece that, like in that corner right there, that doesn't want to come off, all you have to do is take that knife and get in that corner, and you'll get it right out of there. It's really easier to do than it looks. It really is. It just takes time. And then the knives that I'm using, this one is cheap. They came from Dollar Tree, probably in a 3-pack, but the blade is real flexible. So I'm trying to keep it steady and still get into the tight spaces. All right. So what do we do with this now? Do we address it? Yes, we do. We absolutely are going to wax that because we want it to look traditional and old, right? Right. So I started off with using a baby wipe with a little wax, thinking, okay, well, we'll just do this really nice, lightly and blend this on here. Absolutely could not stand this. I didn't like it. I don't think it worked for this project. It was too watery. So I go back over it with a brush and I do the entire thing with a brush. I can get in all those little recessed areas between the letters, which I couldn't do with the cloth. So this is going to be the way to do it to get around those curves. I'm making sure I don't get any that is onto the front. I don't want any accidental wax on there before I'm ready for it because it will dry in place. Now, if you're using wax, right while you're using it, you can wipe it and you can smooth it out and you can change it. But once it starts to dry, it's going to kind of be there. After I do that, I'm going to take what's left on the brush and just sort of flick that around all of the edges. This is going to give me a little more dimension, and I like that with this. And it also looks like something that's older, like maybe it's been sitting on a shelf for a while. It's aging. It's been touched and loved a lot. Yeah. With this one, I knew I wanted to use it, but I just didn't know where I wanted to go with the center. You could put a wreath in there or on it. You could do a snowflake. I've seen that before. But I thought, we're going to do something different. We're going to do something a bit different because that's what we're all about over here, right? And we're going to do it on a budget. So I'm going to show you another thing that you can do, and then you can decide. Now, I'm just wiping off any spots of wax that I don't want and leaving the wax on the outside like I like it. I think the difference is wonderful. Say you want to use a snowflake, you could do that. But I've got these postcards that I got from Temu, and I am an affiliate, so you do hear me talking about them, but you're no pressure to do anything you don't want to do. You can use gift cards. I'm looking through these to see if I have something that will fit on the inside of that O. So I had 2 that I chose from, and I thought, look at this. Look at all those children. If that doesn't scream joy, I mean, it's perfect. So I'm just going to trim down the card a little bit. I'm not being very specific. I'm going to trim a little off, and I know that I need enough to go back there, but also not extend where you can see it in the front. So this is about how it's going to look. And I'll just go ahead and cut off my edges. I know they need to be trimmed down so that they're not, extending over the edge. So I'm just clipping those off. You're not going to see it on the back anyway. All right, so now I'll flip it back over and decide, do I want him leaning a little bit to the side or sitting straight up? And also, there's a baby on the bottom that I'm trying to include, like a little toddler down there, the little brown hair. I'm trying to include that one in the picture too. So once I get it where I want it, still holding it in place, like I said, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue just to keep it from going anywhere. Just in the places where it touches the lettering without going into the center. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you right now, if my grandmother was alive, I would be giving this to my grandmother. She would love it. And I hope that you do too. All right. We're going to use a taper candle holder from Dollar Tree. Easy enough. This one is black. This is the only one I could find in this shape, but really doesn't matter what shape you use. And I'm going to use this. It's a bat bird cage. We're going to repurpose something that was for Halloween. We're going to use it for Christmas. So I'll cut the plastic off. It very easily just sits down in there. And I'll use some more of that same gold paint you've been seeing me use. Yes, I still have some. I'll be using that on this project. The bat on the top I knew I didn't want, but I wanted to see if I could break it off. Often with metal pieces like this, these thin metal, you can rock it back and forth and it will like fatigue the metal and then you can take it off. And so now I don't have a top on there and it's perfect. If you want to get a top for yours, you put whatever you want up there, a button, whatever you would like. Let's move on to the base. So I'm going to flip over this candle holder and we're going to use it upside down because there's more surface area to put the glue on this side. So I'm adding permanent glue and a ring in the middle and then a little bit of hot glue on the outside right in the center. I'm going to turn it and try to get this as centered as I can. If you want to do measurements, put yours in the center, you can. Give it a few minutes to dry, and then you can flip it over and decide if you like it. And of course, once you put the permanent glue on there, it's set. You're done anyway. But I like the shape of that, and I think it would look really good if we tried to make that feel like it's a piece of brass, right? So this is how it looks. We did the entire thing. I just left it. I did it in my garage yesterday and left it overnight. You can see the black in the top, not a problem. You'll never see it. Two options for this. You can use this to put a special little decoration piece. Maybe you have some of those little, what are they called? Humboldt? I don't know. The little Christmas figurines with the children. So cute. So if you have a keepsake, you could put that in there. Very easy. Or we're going to give you another option. I thrifted this ornament. It is a musical ornament. I'm going to let you listen. I'm going to be quiet and you listen to it. Cute. I love it. It works. Can you believe it? So I'm going to cut that little cord that was on there off, and we're going to use this dome to make like a hanging ornament. So this is our second option, right? I'm going to use the cap off one of those cheap Dollar Tree little ornaments. And I know that it's going to fit right over the top of that. So I'm going to go ahead. I always do a little dry run first. I'm going to add a little bit of permanent glue on here. And then you would just want to use the permanent glue if you're doing this for yourself so that it doesn't come apart. But I have to do these videos quickly for you guys. So that's why I am using hot glue here too, to show you that, it's going to stay together. We need it to stay together. All right, so I'm just squeezing that together, and I'll hold it in place for a few moments. I'm going to take the cap off of my spray paint and use that to hold that while it dries. Okay, so now it's already attached, y'all. My footage was corrupt. I used a piece of ribbon, tied it to the little hook holder, and then tied it to the top of the little key that turns the ornament on so that it can hang freely. And made sure that I had enough room underneath so that it can move and rotate when it played its song. And this is how it turned out. Oh my goodness! I did a special ornament a while back in a cloche and really loved it. So I thought, let's do this in this brass looking bird cage, and I think it is absolutely beautiful. Here is a thrifted frame I'm going to repurpose. It's got the little three pieces in it. They didn't have backs in them, but I made some for a project that I did in the past. I've actually used this thing. This will be the third time. So I'm really showing y'all how to use things that you've had in the past. A little more antique and wax. And then these stickers from Dollar Tree. No, they're not Christmas, but I think they go along with the antique theme. I think they're perfect for this. All right, I'll take some rub and buff on my finger. I'm just going to use the back of that sticker pack. Kind of rub it out, and then I'm going to rub this onto the surface of that sort of a dark copper look that I have on there, like an aged copper look, which would be absolutely fine. But in order to get all these pieces to look similar, so that you can use them in a set, of course, we are going to do the gold, and you can see the difference in the two. I might actually like the previous one better. Who knows? But we're going to roll with it because we can change our decor, and it's so important to know that you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to watch my channel and feel like you have to do everything that I do, because you don't. Pick the things you really like and go with those. And now I'm just sloppily putting this all over the chains too. Just a little bit, because I don't mind that they're a little bit darker. I'm not being precise with this at all. Nice. All right, so I walked away from it, did a couple of things, came back, and we're going to go ahead and put the backings back in. This I made out of some really, really thick felt that I thrifted a long time ago. I need to get some more of it. This is really good backing for things like this. When you get frames and you don't have backs for them, you don't want to use paper. This is such a nicer look, I think. Of course, I'm being sloppy here, so please don't judge by this by this video alone. Just a little bit of glue, because I don't want it to pop out of the back. We're going to be pushing on these a little bit. I thought the clock here would be really pretty, and the book stack, and the little thermometer over here. I think it's a thermometer. We'll see. In the end, we'll get a close-up. So I'm just wiping a little bit of the glue off of there. And I am going to start adding these down. They are sticky, but with that felt, there's a little bit of a pile with that felt. So I thought, let's just, to be on the safe side, I'll add just a little bit of glue and hold that in. And I'm trying to get it somewhat centered in there. And then I'll press it down into place. And I don't want to cause the back to pop out. So I'm actually squeezing it onto the fabric from the front and the back at the same time. I'll add a little stack of books here. Love it. Ooh, you know what? This is giving me Scrooge vibes. Yes, it is. Definitely. Oh, yeah, thermometer. I think that's what that says. I don't have my glasses on. And I'm going to put that one down in this one. Very, very haphazardly, apparently. There we go. And then I'll squeeze it into place. Love these puffy stickers. Do not miss out on these stickers. I love them. They're so pretty. And then I have more I can do other projects with. But there we go. I love it. I hope you can see the change in the finish and how great those stickers coordinate with this piece. I love it. And then one more closer look here. So pretty. And you would use this as an ornament on your tree. We're going to be using some zip ties, of course. I could use pipe cleaners instead if you would like. I'm going to use a variety of ribbons, both thrifted and some that I got at the Dollar Tree. Love that dark red. And then I got some gold ribbon here also. I have a gold pick. Not exactly sure where it came from. It doesn't really matter. These are some branches that I picked up at Ollie's. And we'll use 2 of those. They're nice and full. And then we're going to use a bunch of Dollar Tree ornaments. They have sleeves in different sizes and colors. We're going to focus mainly on like the creams, the golds, and the kind of a silver color. So we're going to take all of our tags off, and then we're going to spread these branches out a little bit. Just like we do with the Dollar Tree Christmas trees when we make swags out of those, which, by the way, you can use instead of doing it this way if you would like. You're going to spread them out and leave them sort of flat. We want a flat green bed of greenery, a green bed of greenery, oh, of course. A nice soft bed of greenery here to add our ornaments to. So I want one to overlap the other one. It's kind of a layered look. It makes it look like a bigger branch. So we're just going to do it this way. And then I'm going to add my gold pick right on top. Now, no worries about the gold pick. It is going to be kind of mixed around in here. Y'all, I'm going to take this opportunity to remind you that these are inspired videos. What you're seeing here is not authentic to what they did back in the Victorian days. But I think that if you like that era and you like the design, that these things are going to fit perfectly in with your antiques and, you know, whatever you have in the house that might have been meemaws or, you know, something you've had in the past. So it'll look good with those brass ornaments and the little figurines and things like that. I think it'll fit in well, but that is just my opinion. Again, on this channel, I'd like to encourage you to make it your own, of course. So for this one branch, if I'd have had 2, I could have done this differently with layering, but we can still get around it. So it was one pick, and I'm just going to wrap it around and through all of that beautiful frosted greenery all around. So once you get it looking the way you want to, you can start to embellish it. You think about what you want to do for the top. Do you want to loop it over and make it just a loop out of your branch? Do you want to wrap it with something? Do you want to cut it off? Totally up to you. I want to show you that you can wrap these, and I like the idea of wrapping it up. This red on here is going to give quite the pop of red because most of what else is going on in this arrangement is going to be slightly neutral but metallic. And the red is just a way to add just a beautiful, rich pop of color in there, really. So that's why I chose the red on the top. If you wanted to go more for a Ralph Lauren thing, you could maybe do a plaid. Here, you could do a dark green, a navy blue. There's lots of different ways that Victorian crafts and that rich old world look kind of blend over into the
Ralph Lauren trend that is going around. Also inspired. I think it's kind of goes without saying that if you're a crafter and you're making things, that it's inspired by whatever comes out of your brain, right? Whatever you create comes out of something that is unique to yourself. You know, I hope that makes sense. So you just do what works for you and what feels right in your home and what feels right when you're crafting that you really like it. Remember, if you're making something for yourself, then it doesn't matter. You can make it in any way that it makes you happy and that it brings you joy when you look at it. Yes. If you're making it for others, if you wanted to do these for gifts, then consider maybe their theme, their style, what they like in their home, whether they're religious or not, whether they like, if they're children and they like more of a children's type theme, So I love the ornaments here. These are so easy to use and wreaths and things like that because they're kind of on a smaller scale. These obviously would be bundled if you put them on a large tree because they would just disappear, wouldn't they? But doing it this way in little clusters and groups in smaller pieces, I think makes a nice impact. So I'm just going to go around here and try to mix up the colors and mix up the sizes just for interest. And you can see that for the most part, I've taken the tops off of all of these little ornaments, the little clippy part that you put the hanger on. I've taken all those off. I will leave one in the end, and I'll show you the reason why I leave it in the end. You can save those for other things. You can throw them away. It's totally up to you. But, I like to save my stuff. So I do have a little bowl on the side with some hangers and things because some of the ornaments I use are actually recycled from my daughter's Christmas tree that she did a few years ago. She was going to get rid of the whole box of things because she said it doesn't match the theme that she enjoys anymore in her home. So, yeah, I got to pick through and find some things that would work in our crafting this year. All right. I like my old world. I like my vintage, especially at holiday time. So I love the way this looks. I love that it's kind of just patternless. We're just putting them here and there where it makes sense to me, where it makes sense to my eye. I'm just trying to get the weight and balance of it right without everything being symmetrical and matchy-matchy everywhere. I like the look of this. I think it's pretty and I think it's a little bit different. But you got to have options, right? So if you want to stop at that point, you can. If you want to make a bow, then this is what you can do. This is an 18-inch ruler. So I'm going to measure twice and I'm going to make 36 inches and we'll cut that off. This is that beautiful red ribbon that I got from Dollar Tree. It's not very thick, but it does look nice, right? All right, so we're going to do the same thing here with the gold. And this gold is a very subtle, like window pane plaid sort of look. Very pretty though. So bow option number one, you can take your ribbon and fold it over on itself into like an awareness sign and then walk your fingers toward yourself and make your little loops. Then you have your tails that you pull down. Easy to do. Then you can do the same thing with the gold and you can make them the same size. You can make one larger than the other and put the larger one to the back and the smaller one in the front. So you get that little peak of color out of there if you would like. Or we can do something a little bit different. So you would just cinch them in the middle and tie them off right there for that bow. Okay? But let's go to the second option. This is going to be the same type of a fold, but we're going to put the ribbon on top of one another. I've put the more narrow ribbon right in the front. Then I'm going to cross the whole bunch over just like we did with the other ones. So easy. You can do this with 2 ribbons. You can do this with 3 ribbons. I guess it's up to you. You'd have to make your loops bigger and bigger to adjust them, but yeah, I guess it's up to you. This also gives, to me, more of a nice, elegant, layered look, but it also, the loops on the top also kind of look like it's on an expensive ribbon, right? The ribbon that has the layers in it, the ribbon that's like $18 a roll that everybody really wants but refuses to spend money on. Yeah, because styles change every year, right? They change so much. So you can pull your bow loops apart and have a little more showing here and there if you want. You can leave them stacked on top of each other just like that. And then the tails, this is wired ribbon, by the way. The tails can be cut in a slant or dovetail. It's completely up to you. I wanted to cut the upper piece a little bit shorter than the bottom piece, just so that when they lay together, you can still see the color underneath. I think it gives it an interesting look, but it's completely up to you. Still sounding a little nasally over here at Mississippi. We really need some rain, which I hear is coming up for the holiday season, which is not wonderful for those who have to travel. But for my allergies and sinuses, I welcome the rain. I think we need it. I'm all stuffy sounding, but I'm not sick. No worries. I hope everybody out there is good too. I hope you're not struggling too bad with these fall allergies. It's a whole different set of allergens, y'all. Whole different set. Okay, so now the tinsel that we used in the middle, or this little greenery tie that we used in the middle, I'm just going to go ahead and use that to make the loop on the back. Fold it up, pull the two parts up and then fold them over on themselves, kind of weaving them onto themselves. Then I'm going to tighten it up because I know that's exactly where I want it to be. Push it upward and you have a tie. You have a little hanger there to put this on your door or wherever you want to put it. Very simple. This would also be beautiful with a dark green ribbon, a dark blue ribbon. I am really working with what I already have at home. So I'll be telling you other options, even if I don't have it in my own house, because you might have it and I want you to do better than me. This is a little piece that I found while I was thrifting, and I've used it years ago in a shadow box, a Victorian shadow box that I did. And I took the box apart so that I could use it. All right, I've got some gold spray paint here, metallic gold, of course. Looks a little brassy to me, and that's why I'm liking it. I got these little ornaments. They're like a resin or a heavy plastic type. Well, they might even be glass. I don't know. But I got these while thrifting. There were actually 3, and I've misplaced one of them. I cannot find the other cherub, but when I do, I will be crafting with her. No need to worry. So they both have instruments, 2 different instruments, I do believe. I'm going to pull off these little hangers because they can be used again, or they can be recycled for maybe a different ornament that you have and you need a hanger. All right, so we're going to take these. We're going to clean them with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, dry them with microfiber. Then we're going to get some type of wire. Here's a little idea for you, a little tip. Some type of wire to hang these up when you spray paint. If you hang them off of an old branch or something that you find in the yard, almost like you're hanging it from a Christmas tree, it makes spray painting so much easier because you can get to every surface for it to dry. All right, when it's dry, we can take those off because those were just temporary, and look how beautiful. Look at all the detail you can now see in this piece. This one has a little harp. I think that's a harp. And this little cherub has, it's a bow. It's a bow and an arrow. So this could be used again for Valentine's Day. Now, these hangers I got thrifting. I also have had gold before, but I don't know. I guess I donated them. These can be spray painted. So if you wanted to spray paint your hooks that maybe you have and you've always used and enjoyed, simple, very simple to do. Spray paint them, let it dry, flip them over, do the other side. You can use any type of cording that you like. So if I had this in gold, it would be really nice. You can use thin ribbon. You can use Dollar Tree ribbon. Because all we're really going to do now is make a hanger and then embellish that hanger. Very, very easy. You can really hardly call this a craft. This is more like a just do-it-yourself flip of something, that you get from the thrift store. But it's so easy to do. Think of the ornaments that you have, and maybe you went with the farmhouse style before and you had, I don't know, white icicles, but this year you want to do gold, or you want to do metallic, or you want to do something crazy with glitter on them. Just clean them up and spray them down with some spray paint. Look at that. So I tied one where it would hang down lower. Those are for like the outer limbs of a tree where they could hang. And then if you cut them a little bit shorter, these are better for the lengths that you do on the inside of the tree or on shorter branches. They have more room and they're not sitting on top of another branch. It's kind of customizable how long you want your hangers to be. All right, so I'm going to pull these down. Really simple little loop bow. Showed you how to make it. And now it just takes a minute. It's going to look goofy at first. So I'm just going to show you that it takes just a minute to adjust and turn things around. to get that bow looking exactly like you like it. That's why we fluff the heck out of our bows. We're just messing with those bows and messing with them until they are exactly how we like them. So I like the cream and gold here. I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on here. And then this is going to hold this in place. You can also use something like a twist tie, or you can tie it around that if you want to, rather than gluing it on. It's not going to get a lot of movement or action in the tree. It's going to be sitting still in there, so it's not going to be knocked around. If it's indoors, it should last you for a long time. So here's some satin ribbon that I had, and we're going to make another bow. This one's a little bit different, but the really honestly looks kind of the same, but I like to give y'all options. So I'm going to take a little piece of this ribbon, really pretty, and it's probably about 10 inches of ribbon, and I'll just tie it in the middle with a little bit of gold cord, and this happens to be what was the hanger off of another ornament. So I'm going to use that there, tie it off, kind of get it in the middle before you make your double knot so you're not, pulling too hard on that bow. And once the double knot is in there, you can then use that to tie it on, or you can cut it off. I'm going to trim mine off, I think. I do actually tie it on there, yes. But tie it under the knot, or really closely to the knot. And that way it's not going to slide up and down. A little bit of hot glue on the back will also hold that in place. And you can use a little piece of fabric also on there, a little piece of scrap ribbon to put over the top of the hot glue to kind of glue it in place or tape it in place. So for this one, I just decided, you know what, we're going to do a tiny little cute bow like you would see on a little girl's barrette. And that's what we're going to use for this one. I think that is so cute. And I think a variety of these mixed up together would be very pretty. Think of all those little plastic ornaments you can get at Dollar Tree that you could do the same thing with. The festive decorative plate is next. I'll use some jewelry pliers. I've got an ornament here that I've had for many, many years that was probably found at a thrift store. They screw in, so we're going to use the pliers to take that off. I'm going to use poinsettia doily. Really pretty. Any doily you like is totally fine. I found mine at the thrift store. And then a plate. These are very cheap, and I think at this time of year you could probably get them cheaper at Hobby Lobby. Look at this clean peel. Ugh, it's like a dream. I love it. All right, so we always want to have a clean surface when we start off, especially when it's been sitting around. So we're going to clean it all off. We don't want anything interfering with the glue that we put down. I'm actually using a gloss Mod Podge. This is not going to be the one that you see. It's not matte. It's gloss, because I decided, you know what? Let's make this look like it's actually painted onto the plate. And by making it gloss, it kind of it's a little more convincing that maybe it was actually painted on. So I'm going to make sure I put enough on here that it's going to grab onto that doily, but not sloppy, because if you do that, then the doily can tear. There's lots of little cutouts in a doily, as you know. It makes it very lacy and delicate, and we don't want to pull or snag any of those pieces. I'm going to just kind of eyeball it. Yeah, I said it. I didn't measure it. I eyeballed it. And I'm going to push it into place, just kind of starting with my finger in the middle and then pressing kind of outward so I can get around that curve, press down into the curve. Now, when you do that, it's going to cause the doily most likely to kick up a little bit, almost like flower petals. It'll kind of lift up. But once you put your Mod Podge on top of there, it's thick and it's going to help glue it down into place. It's a balance game, y'all. It's really a balance, because if you use too much of it, it can get your paper doily wet and fragile, and it will tear. And I know that because if you notice the print on this doily, when I show you the project further along, it's a different doily because I damaged my doily playing with it too much, being too picky, and constantly, I should have just left it alone. I should have got it in a place where it was stuck down and left it. But no, I was trying to get all my brush strokes the same way. You know how we do. You know exactly how we do. All right, so because we want the color and the finish to be exactly the same, I'm going to go over the entire thing with a little bit of this Mod Podge. And I might add, this is a soft brush, but it is a firm brush. Okay? If that helps anybody. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and take this off, and I'm just unscrewing this. You can use the tiny screws in other projects. You can use the hook. It's like an eye hook. You can use that in another project. You can use the hanger for something else. And we're actually gonna reuse the hanger on this plate. So there's no L. I'm gonna cut off the little curly pieces because we don't need it. We also don't need it quite as long, so I can trim it down to whatever length I want to trim it down to. And I'll take my little jewelry pliers and just bend them so that I can put them through the holes in the top of that plate. There's some little decorative areas, look kind of lacy. And I'll just hook them to the front and put them onto the back and flip it over. And then I'm going to make sure that I adjust it correctly. Press those down so that it kind of holds onto the plate. Add a little hot glue and a scrap of ribbon on top. Now, if you enjoy decorative plates in your home and you like to have them on the wall, then they make specific hangers that you can get for your plates. And I guess you would use them mainly for the decorative plates that are the really pretty china or the expensive stuff. But I think they would be suitable also if you wanted to use it to decorate a little bit inside your home. So now you see the difference here. See the difference in the doily? This one has a little more white, those white flowers on there, which look like dogwood to me, but can't be sure. Because I tore it. Yeah, I was being silly and I tore it. I was doing the most, like I do sometimes. This is what it is going to look like. And then I'm going to let it dry overnight. I did use it a little bit for, just drying just a little bit. But then you need to let it dry overnight because we're going to have to glue to it. Now I'm finding my points here where I think I want to put, like landmarks of where I want to put this. Because I don't use a ruler very often, I find that just kind of using my hands for placement helps me put things in pretty much the right place. I mean, they're handmade, right? It's not factory made, so I'm not going for precise measurements here. But if that's something you enjoy, feel free to do it that way. Just get your grid on there, find your center point, and you can place it down. So this is what it looks like so far. I like that it has a little bit of very fine glitter on it, not too much. So if you want to decorate the top of your plate, you could use like an old cameo. You could actually put this on your wording. You could put it anywhere around the plate on the doily. This is a little button that I've recycled. I've used in another project. It's little paper flowers you get at Dollar Tree. Those would be cute as well. You can do bows. This one doesn't match. It's just an example if you wanted to. But I think I'll leave mine just like this.